Chapter 269. Robbing openly. Lu Mu Yen walked lazily to the second prince and squatted down in front of him. The second prince looked up at her defensively. His handsome face was ashen and on guard. She didn't care about his attitude either. She took out a bottle of grade 3 energy-nourishing pills from her interspatial ring, poured one out and held it with 2 fingers. She shook it in front of the second prince and said, "This energy-nourishing pill has the miraculous effect of healing both external and internal injuries and costs only 10,000 spiritual stones. Do you want it? Promise you'll be cured." All the people present and those who were hiding and watching couldn't resist twitching their lips. They thought Lu Mu Yen was going to take care of the second prince personally, but who knew that she actually went to do business with him? A pill to treat internal and external injuries actually cost 10,000 spiritual stones? This was simply robbery in broad daylight. The second prince's whole body hurt so much that his face was even paler now. He smelt the pill fragrance and felt refreshed. He wanted it, but it was simply too expensive. 10,000 spiritual stones is too expensive. Not expensive. 10,000 spiritual stones is already cheap for you. If you don't want it, then whatever. Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips and was about to put the pill away. The second prince felt that his internal organs were in severe pain. He was extremely angered, but he still gritted his teeth and said, "Deal." Lu Mu Yen gave him a look as if to say, "You are indeed sensible," and handed the pill to him. "You pay, I'll deliver." The second prince's face was completely sore, and his expression was blue and black. Did she think he'd cheat her or something? "Give it to me first, I can't move right now." His whole body hurt so badly that he gasped whenever he moved. Lu Mu Yen wasn't afraid that he'd run away, and thinking of her future plans, she tossed the pill into his mouth. The pill melted the moment it entered his mouth. The second prince felt a coolness spreading throughout his body, and the burning pain was indeed gradually lessening while his internal organs didn't feel that kind of pinching pain anymore. He moved his body and his eyes revealed surprise. Who knew that this woman's pills were really effective? But remembering that he spent 10,000 spiritual stones to buy it, his flesh hurt again. Seeing that the second prince had recovered a lot, Lu Mu Yen reached out her hand and patted his chest. A purple jade tablet leapt out of his clothes and fell into her hands. After the start of the semifinals, the identity jade tablets of the contestants weren't allowed to be placed in interspatial spaces and could only be worn on their bodies. This was also convenient for snatching. She smiled sweetly and asked, "Do you still want to stay in the competition space to participate in the finals?" The second prince felt that although she smiled beautifully like this, but he still felt a little frightened inwardly. "Just what do you want?" "This purple jade tablet is mine now, right?" she asked with a raised arc on her lips and blinked. The second prince suppressed the blood that was creeping up his chest and his eyes grew more alert. "Since you snatched it, it's naturally yours. So what if I don't want to be teleported out of the competition space?" Lu Mu Yen didn't erase the identity imprint aura on his jade tablet, which indicated that she still had a purpose. After winning the opponent's jade tablets in the semifinals, as long as one used mental energy to erase the identity imprint, the other party would be automatically sent out of the competition space. If it were snatched but not erased, then that person could still remain in the space. "Naturally, it's because I want to do business with you." Lu Mu Yan's eyes curved, smiling like a sneaky cat. Seeing her smile like a flower, lively and cheeky, Luo Li and the others felt a strange feeling in their hearts. What business? The second prince was vigilant. This woman was definitely a tigress that didn't spit out bones after eating. "Do you think this identity jade tablet is valuable?" Lu Mu Yen asked instead. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks hearing her question, as long as one wasn't a fool, one could guess her purpose. She was precisely asking for money. "How much do you want?" The second prince asked through gritted teeth. If spiritual stones were gone, it could still be searched for, but if he was teleported out of the competition space, then he would even lose the opportunity of entering the top 100. More importantly, it was too embarrassing. After returning to the empire, who knew how many people would laugh at him? Lu Mu Yen also expected this before she prepared to extort him. The second prince was still favored in Rongzi Kingdom. Although he and Luo Li didn't like each other, but it was only small fights and inconveniences. When he came into the array earlier, he didn't have much killing intent either, so he was probably only prepared to snatch jade tablets and didn't have any thoughts of killing them, otherwise she wouldn't just settle this with money. How many spiritual stones do you think your jade tablet is worth? Lu Muyen played around with the jade tablet in her hands and said with a smile, if it's too low, you're also degrading your own personal value. The blood stuck in the second prince's chest almost spurted out. This woman was too shameless. He thought for a bit with a dark expression, then asked tentatively, 20,000 spiritual stones? So you're only worth 20,000 spiritual stones. Lu Muyen sneered, are you trying to send away a beggar? She was saying 20,000 spiritual stones was enough to only send away beggars? The second prince was about to go crazy, then how much do you want? Lu Muyen paused, then said, 50,000 spiritual sones, not a single cent less. Are you robbing people? The second prince was going to be frustrated to death. This woman was just robbing him openly. Lu Muyen's eyes narrowed with her smiles. Hey, how did you know? I'm indeed robbing openly. Whether you want to give or not, a sentence is enough. If you don't want it, it'll erase your identity imprint. By the way, 50,000 spiritual stones also includes the cost of your destruction of my array. Such a cheap price and you're still trying to haggle, are you a man or not? Lu Muyen then added with disgust. It was 50,000 spiritual stones. Not 5 spiritual stones. What did this have to do with being a man? I don't have that many spiritual stones on me anymore. The second prince thought a bit and sighed. Lu Muyen revealed a regretful smile, took out the second prince's teammate's purple jade tablets and began to erase the identity imprints on it. What a pity. The second prince thought that she was just scaring him, but when he saw the people behind him disappear from this space one by one, he couldn't help shuddering. This woman wasn't joking at all. When he saw that she picked up his jade tablet without hesitation and began to erase the imprint on it, he hurriedly shouted, I'll give it to you. What are you giving? Lu Muyen stopped what she was doing and asked languidly. The second prince said with lingering fears, I'll give you 50,000 spiritual stones in exchange for my jade tablet. Now you've shown some bit of manly responsibility. Lu Muyen added with a smile. Together with the pill I gave you earlier, it's a total of 60,000 spiritual stones. The second prince took a deep breath, otherwise he might not be able to resist the urge to strangle this woman to death. He took out a storage bag from his interspatial and tossed it to Lu Muyen with a cold expression. Here. Lu Muyen casually swept over it with her mental energy and there were indeed 60,000 spiritual stones in it. He handed the jade tablet back to the second prince. If you were more sensible earlier, then you wouldn't have been beaten. The second prince rolled his eyes. He wouldn't believe what this woman said at all. Lu Muyen, this cunning woman, had long set up a trap for him to fall into. Not only did she vent for Luo Li, but she also extorted so many spiritual stones from him in broad daylight. She was truly good. I don't want to see you anymore at all in the future. Lu Muyen stood up, raised an eyebrow, and said arrogantly, domineeringly and wildly, don't want to see me? Then you can only pity that you want even quality for the finals because I'm bound to enter the top 100. After hearing her words, the people present and those hidden didn't have any doubts. With her current strength, she did indeed have a chance to advance into the top 100. Chapter 270. Return to the city tactic. When the second prince heard Lu Muyen's lofty ambitions, he could no longer underestimate her. Even if this woman's strength wasn't that great, but with her countless, versatile means, it might really be possible for her to enter the top 100. Can I leave now? He really didn't want to stay here any longer. His teammates were all teleported out of this space, so he had to make some plans individually. Lu Muyen nodded, please go ahead. She had already extorted a huge amount of spiritual stones and it was useless for her to have the second prince remain. When the second prince heard her say this, he got up immediately. The wounds on his body were indeed much better, and he couldn't help but inwardly praise that the medicine was indeed good. He originally wanted to ask her whether she still had any more of that sort of pill, but he held back when he remembered the price of 10,000 spiritual stones. Just when he lifted his foot and took a few steps, Lu Muyan suddenly called out to him from behind. "Second Prince." He turned his head and looked at her quizzically. "Is there anything else?" Don't let it be because she changed her mind and wasn't going to let him go after receiving those spiritual stones? I suddenly remembered that I have some extra red jade tablets that are useless and want to sell them. Would you like one? Lu Muyan looked at the second prince with sparkling eyes, as if he were a gold mountain. The corner of the second prince's lip twitched, and his expression couldn't resist but turned darker. Did she take him as a foolish spender? No need. It only costs 10,000 spiritual stones. You really won't consider it? Lu Muyan continued to ask with a smile. Thank you for your kindness. I really don't need it. The second prince's tone contained a hint of gritted teeth, but he was currently on Lu Muyan's territory, and he couldn't let that anger out in his chest, for fear that she would go back on her words. Seeing that he really had no plans to want it, she shrugged and said, I originally wanted to take care of you a bit. But since you don't want it, then forget about it. I won't sell it to you for cheap when the price rises in the future. The second prince took a deep breath and pulled out a smile. Thank you for your kindness. I really don't need it. But it wouldn't take long for his intestines to turn green with regret. All right, then you can go. Be careful along the way. Lu Muyan gave a big smile. Extorting the second prince of 60,000 spiritual stones really put her in a good mood. The second prince, however, wasn't in a good mood. Why did he want to beat her up the more he saw that beautiful smile? In order to prevent himself from having the urge to go up and strangle her, he immediately turned around and left. When he passed Luo Qinghe's corpse, there was a haze in his eyes. If it weren't for Luo Qinghe instigating him, he wouldn't be so humiliated today, nor have such heavy losses. It was truly too cheap for this person to die. As soon as the second prince exited the area, he noticed the presence of many people. He was too weak to fight any longer, so he released a flying mount and quickly left. After he left, Fu Chen asked Lu Muyan, "We're just going to let him go like this? Aren't you afraid of his revenge in the future? This lesson will definitely be unforgettable for him for the rest of his life." Lu Muyan curbed the smile on her face. Revenge? Don't worry, he's a smart person. Then that's good. Yi Qinghan glanced at the array that was destroyed by the second prince and said, The array is already destroyed. Are we still going to guard a stump and wait for hares to bump into it? Today's matter might be spread. Let's move to another place. Lu Muyan had already noticed the aura of the few waves of people not far away, but she didn't point it out. Yi Qinghan also discovered the hidden people, and the corner of his lip rose into a vague arc. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Meanwhile, the hidden people felt their scalps go numb after seeing Lu Muyan extorting a huge sum of spiritual stones from the second prince, especially Ji Xian and Yan Jun. So it turned out that the spiritual stones she wanted from them back then really weren't a black price. After resting for a day in the canyon, Lu Muyan and the others set off for other places to wait for fish to be hooked. Luo Li and the several teams didn't continue to follow, and each went to compete for jade tablets to advance in their ranks. Although the news of the second prince and his party's defeat spread in the competition space, but with the increase of Lu Muyan's points, more people wanted the jade tablets in her hands. Everywhere they went, there would always be many sword masters from elite teams who would take the initiative to send them more jade tablets. In such a way, more than a month passed, and when there were still only 5 days from the final match left, Lu Muyan's ranking advanced to second place, and the first place was still the mysterious Chu Han. The rest of her team also advanced into the top 100. Even if there were huge changes in the next 5 days, they wouldn't be pulled down the top 500, and entering the finals was practically an ironclad matter. After all, there were only so many jade tablets, and even if the others skyrocketed in the next few days, they wouldn't be able to pull much of their rankings down. On this day, they were resting on the top of a mountain. Yun Zmo saw the jade tablet flickering and took a closer look. The auction hosted by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance will be held in the central city in 2 days. Yun Zmo put the jade tablet away and said to the several people. Fu Chen also looked at the information carefully. The Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance is still largely collecting auction items for this auction. I think many of contestants will take out the items they've found in this space for auction. That's only of course. Every auction in the central area is selected at this time precisely to obtain the spiritual items and spiritual herbs contestants found. If the major forces find it useful, they'll use money to buy it themselves. Musad. Shifeng thought about it for a bit, then suggested, how about we return directly to the city and wait for the end of the semifinals? Each of them now had a large number of identity jade tablets on them. Although other people couldn't overtake them in the last few days due to the limited number of jade tablets, but they may also become a public target to snatch their jade tablets. I also think the same. For the sake of safety, let's go back to the city and wait. Yi Qinghan said. His goal was to advance to the top 100 to begin with, and he was guaranteed to enter the finals, so there wasn't any need to risk due to greed. Maybe there are teams who already started to join forces to deal with us. Lu Mu Yen also agreed with this proposal and thought the same as them. In order to prevent any variables from occurring, let's go to the central city to rest now and wait for the end of the semifinals. Others naturally had no objection. They didn't expect to advance to the top 100 when they entered the competition this time, so they were very satisfied with such a result and didn't want to lose big for something small. Lu Mu Yen just had a bad premonition that if they didn't leave now, they would be in danger, so she had Bing Ji transform into his original form and, together with Yi Qinghan's Golden Eagle King, Qi, they carried the two teams and quickly flew towards the central city. Just 1 hour after they left, 3 squadrons consisting of many elite teams and more than 400 sword masters stepped into the area where they were before, and with only one look, it was obvious that they were coming for them. Leader, we've searched all over the area. There's no trace of Lu Mu Yen and the others. Judging from the aura, they should have just left not long ago. A man at peak phase sword sovereign said to the leader. The leader furrowed his brows deeply and ordered without hesitation, quick, chase, don't let them rush back to the central city. Once Lu Mu Yen and the others hide in the central city and not leave, they would no longer know what to do. After all, one wasn't allowed to fight in the city. Unfortunately, they were a step behind in the end. When they were about to catch up with the two teams, Lu Mu Yen and the others had already successfully entered the central city. And the 3 temporary alliances formed to deal with them had no choice but to disband. Those who were already in the top 500 returned to the central city one after another, waiting for the auction to start, while the sword masters who were towards the back could only stay outside the city and frantically block those who came to the city to participate in the auction, or those who were about to go hide and snatch their jade tablets. Meanwhile, all this had nothing to do with Lu Mu Yen. She was currently preparing for the auction in 2 days at the inn. One just means to be super regretful. Not sure where the saying comes from though. My bad for the late update. Life caught up in the last few days. I was so organized and scheduled more than 10 days worth of chapters to be auto-uploaded so that I could get my life together, but I forgot I didn't schedule a chapter for today XD. Oh well. Erase the late chapter. And I'll upload maybe 3 chapters total tomorrow, depending on how free I am. It's the 2-week school Easter holidays right now. Yay, I might upload 2 chapters a day. Chapter 271. Auction Identity Jade Tablets. The news spread that Lu Mu Yan's 2 groups didn't step out of their inn ever since returning to the central city. Many people who had their ideas on them were extremely disappointed, and some even regretted that they didn't gather forces earlier to attack them. Meanwhile, in the past 2 days, whether it was the people who had gathered enough jade tablets to enter the top 500 in the rankings, or those who were facing elimination, they all poured into the central city. They only had one goal, and that was to participate in the grandest and most valuable auction in the competition space. Many sword masters even came with clan missions, just for the few finale auction items. Lu Mu Yen had spent the past few days refining pills. Although she had collected spiritual stones from Ji Xian, Yan Jun, and the second prince, but she couldn't guarantee that she would win all the items she needed at the auction, so she still had to do some preparation. 2 days later, when there was still 2 hours before the auction starts, Lu Mu Yen called for her teammates. Mu Yen, it's still too early for the auction. Are we going now? Yi Qinghan just felt that Lu Mu Yen had asked them to come out early because there was some sort of situation. Lu Mu Yen smiled and asked the few people, "Do you all want to earn spiritual stones?" "Of course we do, but how do we make money?" Fu Chen looked at Lu Mu Yen with interest. Having asked such a question, she must have some good idea. The others also set their gazes on her. They basically didn't have much spiritual stones on them, but they heard that such large-scale, high-level trade fairs all auctioned with spiritual stones. They originally were only going to join in the fun and have a look, but now hearing Lu Mu Yen ask such a question, they couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope ignite in them. If one could buy what they wanted, then only a fool wouldn't want to earn spiritual stones. Besides the top 10 places in the semifinals having rewards, the rankings in the top 500 have little effect, right? Lu Mu Yen didn't answer, but asked instead. Yi Qinghan replied, "It doesn't matter. It's just in case of any change in the next few days. As long as the ranking is within the top 400, you can definitely enter the finals. The rankings in the preliminary round and the semifinals only determines whether you can advance or not and doesn't matter much in the following competitions." "Then that's good," Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. "Let's auction the identity jade tablets we have." "What? Auction identity jade tablets?" Fu Chen asked in surprise. Lu Mu Yen nodded. "My ranking is 2nd, so I can sell some jade tablets. It doesn't matter if my ranking is 9th or 10th, it's fine as long as I can get the rewards." In the semifinals, as long as the sword masters entered the top 10, they could choose 3 spiritual items among 10, regardless of their ranking, so this also gave her a loophole. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up and said with a smile, "Yeah, we're currently ranked in the top 100. We can take out some jade tablets to auction. As long as we keep ourselves in the top 400, we can also exchange for a large amount of spiritual stones to participate in the auction. We kill 2 birds with 1 stone." There's no substantial difference between the 50th ranking and the 500th ranking in the semifinals, and it all only meant that they could advance into the finals. Mu Yan's method is excellent. Fu Chen couldn't help but praise. Why couldn't they come up with such a method to get spiritual stones? Mui thought about it for a bit and asked with a smile, "Will anyone want to buy the jade tablets?" "Of course there'll be people who want it. And the price when auctioning the red jade tablets might even be doubled at the auction." Lu Mu Yen said definitively. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, in fact there were less red jade tablets compared to other jade tablets. There must be many people who lacked jade tablets of this color. Plus, the red jade tablet had the least points, so they would definitely earn a huge amount by auctioning off red jade tablets. We have a lot of red jade tablets on us. I believe there are still many sword masters who haven't collected all 7 colors of jade tablets. If we take out the jade tablets to auction, these people will definitely buy them." A light flashed past Yi Qinghan's eyes. Although he came from a clan in a large kingdom, but the eastern region was the weakest of the 4 regions. The spiritual stones of his clan were all obtained through trading spirit pets. They didn't have mineral veins like other clans from large kingdoms, so he didn't have many spiritual stones. Ling Fei Yang asked with a smile, "Then where do we go to auction the jade tablets? Should we take it directly to the auction for consignment?" Lu Mu Yen thought for a bit, then said, "Let's go to the auction place to ask first. I think that no other sword master had ever auctioned jade tablets before, so I don't know if they'll accept it or not." Sure. Everyone had hope in their hearts and they followed Lu Mu Yen, all in high spirits, to the main hall where the largest auction in the central city was located. The news that they left the inn early was also spread to the ears of elite teams from various kingdoms. "Elder brother, why did Lu Mu Yen and the others go to the auction hall so early?" Luo Li ran to Luo Yi as soon as he heard the report. Si Nan and Helian Lai were also in this and so they got together to discuss this. Hearing his words, Si Nan stood up with a hint of interest in his eyes and said, "Let's go take a look and see and well know." "Sure, let's go." At the same time, Yan Jun, Ji Xian, and the others also received the news. They didn't know Lu Mu Yen well enough, but they knew her temperament, so they left the inn and went to the auction hall to find out. Such a situation was also occurring in many places in the city. When Lu Mu Yen and her party arrived at the auction hall, there were also many sword masters waiting to entrust their items for auction. The waiter immediately greeted them with a smile. "Young masters and young misses, please come in. Are you all also here to entrust auction items?" Lu Mu Yen smiled and asked, "Where's the manager?" The waiter paused for a bit, his expression unchanged, then replied with a smile, "The manager is dealing with things right now. If young miss wants to auction something, you can just hand it to me. If you want to appraise the value of an item, then you can go to the appraiser first." The manager was so busy, so how could he receive these participating sword masters one by one? He, an attendant, didn't even have such power to arrange that. Lu Mu Yen also knew that she was making things difficult for him, so she handed over a silver token from her interspatial thing. "This is the Ming Alliance token of your Chamber of Commerce. Hand it over to your manager, I believe he will naturally come see me." When the attendant saw the silver token, he took it carefully and said respectfully, "Young miss, please wait a moment. I'll go find the manager immediately." This was the silver-level distinguished guest token of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, which made the attendant tremble. He quickly ran to the second floor to call the manager. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yan's act of taking out the silver Ming Alliance token also shocked the people present. Even Yi Qing Han, Shi Feng, and the others revealed surprise in their eyes. Luo Li and the others who had just entered the hall also took in the scene just now, and the shock in their hearts was no less than others. Even they, elite pupils of superpower kingdoms, didn't have the distinguished guest tokens of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. How did Lu Mu Yen get recognized by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance? No one suspected that Lu Mu Yan's token was fake or obtained from other places. After all, each token of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance had an identity aura verification, and other people couldn't use it at all. "Lu Mu Yen, you actually have the silver distinguished guest token of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance." Luo Li walked over and looked at her, his gaze filled with surprise. Chapter 272, Silver Ming Alliance Token. "Lu Mu Yen, you actually have the silver distinguished guest token of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance." Lu Mu Yen turned around and saw Luo Li's handsome, bright smile on his face, as if the sun in winter that could shine into one's heart. Is there anything special about the silver Ming Alliance token? She actually didn't know anything about the Ming Alliance token. Luo Li smiled and said, "The Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance has 3 types of Ming Alliance tokens, that is bronze, silver, and gold. The bronze-colored tokens are distinguished guest tokens, the silver tokens are high-level distinguished guest tokens, and the golden tokens are top-level distinguished guest tokens. A sword master with a silver distinguished guest token who auctions items or buys items in stores under the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance not only can get a 5% discount of the total value, but when their cultivation base reaches a certain level, they can also receive an invitation to a secret realm." "Invitation to a secret realm?" Lu Mu Yen asked with a raised eyebrow. "There are countless mysterious and secret places on Tianling continent. Not anyone can enter. It requires certain means and power to open it. In addition to the 6 major sects who have such strength, only a few top forces on this continent can do it." Luo Li paused and said, "Although secret realms are accompanied by danger, but the harvest is definitely worth taking the risk for. However, such an opportunity isn't available to just anyone. I heard that the silver distinguished guest tokens issued by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance won't exceed 200. So that's why you almost blinded our eyes with the silver distinguished guest token in your hand." Si Nan leaned over with his handsome face and smiled frivolously. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. "Doesn't matter if you don't have those eyes." Her face didn't change, but she was pondering inwardly. Thinking about it over and over again, she felt that it was impossible for Elder Yi to give her a token of this level. This silver distinguished guest token must have been given to Elder Yi by that guy, Ming Xiu, to give to her. Si Nan was stunned for a moment, then looked aggrieved and blinked his phoenix-type eyes. "If I'm blind, how can I appreciate beauties then, especially a little beauty like you? You have no face and skin." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him again in amusement. Before Xinan could answer, he saw a slick-looking middle-aged man come down from the second floor, led by the attendant, to Lu Mu Yen. "Young Miss Lu, please don't take offense for being neglected. Let us talk upstairs." The manager was very sincere. The silver distinguished guest tokens had everyone's identity aura verification, so the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance could use special means to identify the identity of the person who bore the token. "Then I will trouble manager." Lu Mu Yen smiled politely. Seeing that Luo Li and the others were all curious, she said to them, "If you want to listen, just follow." The fact that she was going to auction the identified jade tablets would soon be known to the public. It wasn't bad to let Luo Li, Xinan and the others come as free labor and deterrent. When the two heard it, their eyes lit up and they followed Lu Mu Yen to the second floor eagerly. The manager took them to a private room on the second floor, and after they sat down he ordered tea to be served. "I wonder what young Miss Lu needs us to do?" the manager asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yen held a silver distinguished guest token, so she enjoyed a lot of privileges. As long as the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance could do it, then, under general circumstances, the requirements must be met. Lu Mu Yen took a sip of tea and said lightly, "I want to borrow the venue to hold a small auction before your auction starts. I only need 2 hours." After hearing her words, everyone looked at her in a daze. Fu Chen and the others were puzzled. Didn't they agree to ask people from the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to help them auction it? However, they couldn't compare to Lu Mu Yan's shrewdness, so they would support everything she did. "I wonder what young Miss Lu wants to auction? If there is any spiritual item to be auctioned, it can be auctioned off by our Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. You are a high-level distinguished guest, and we will only charge half of the intermediate fee." The manager was very curious about what Lu Mu Yen wanted to do. Lu Mu Yan's name had long spread throughout the cities in the competition space. They had also heard a lot about her, and now she had the silver token too, so that's why he was so polite to her. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I want to auction the identity jade tablets needed in the semifinals." Lu Mu Yen replied bluntly. "Piu." Xinan couldn't help but spit out his tea. "Auction identity jade tablets? You sure have ideas." Helian Lai's lips couldn't resist twitching. This woman must be crazy for money. Could it be that extorting the second prince gave her the inspiration to continue extorting others? The manager was stunned for a moment, then said in amusement, "Young Miss Lu, are you sure you want to auction identity jade tablets? This is something used to participate in the competition." "I'm sure." Lu Mu Yen nodded. "There's no requirement in the rules of the competition that jade tablets obtained must be from snatching, right? There's no prohibition on buying and selling, so I'm not violating the rules of the competition if I sell them." She bluntly expressed her thoughts. It was better to put such things out in the light. Others had deep creases on their foreheads. Was it really all right for you to take advantage of this loophole and be known by the organizers? That's true. Ultimately, the manager was an elite of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, and he had no shortage of business acumen. At this moment, he was also a little interested. However, although Lu Mu Yen dared to do this business, but their Chamber of Commerce couldn't make this sort of money. "Don't worry, I'll pay you for the 2-hour rented venue." Seeing that the manager hesitated, she added, if she didn't have the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to help auction it, she could save a large amount of intermediate fees. In addition, Luo Li and the others took the initiative to join in as laborers, so she'd be a fool not to use them. That's why she changed her original intention. "There is no need to pay the venue fee. You are our silver token high-level distinguished guest. I can still give you this convenience." The manager replied with a smile without hesitation. Lu Mu Yen having the silver token meant that her backing was definitely extraordinary, and there were probably some secrets, but he didn't dare investigate. As far as he knew, even strong sword venerable powerhouses on Tianling continent may not even have a bronze token, let alone a special silver token. Since Lu Mu Yen had this ability, then he naturally wouldn't miss this chance to make good friends with her just because of some petty profits. No matter whether it was useful or not, there was nothing wrong with showing goodwill. Lu Mu Yen knew his intentions and didn't reject his kindness. Then I thanked the manager greatly. I wonder your surname is? This one is Jiang Kong. The smile on the manager's face was more sincere. Lu Muyan's ability to obtain the silver token must mean she had a deep relationship with some, or a certain high-level executive of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. If she said a few good words about him, then he had hoped to be transferred back to the headquarters. Then I trouble Manager Jiang to arrange it for us now. Lu Muyan smiled. Manager Jiang nodded and ordered a few things to the attendant, then personally took Lu Muyan and the others to the auction venue in the lobby on the first floor. Luo Li, Sinan, Helian Lai. It's time for you to all come to use. Lu Muyan's eyes were curved and looked at the three with a big grin. Luo Li had a smile in his eyes, and he was very happy to be able to help Lu Muyan. Go ahead and order us. Sinan and Helian Lai glanced at each other, cursing Luo Li inwardly. We can help, but there's a condition. Sinan leaned over and smiled affectionately. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow and asked, Tell me. Sinan, this fox, wasn't a simple little cat like Luo Li, and she guessed that he probably wanted to sell identity jade tablets too. As Lu Muyan expected, Sinan's next sentence was, We also have extra identity jade tablets. How about we borrow little Bowtie's light and auction them together? Chapter 273, Lu Muyan's auction. Helian Lai was also interested by the conditions proposed by Sinan. Lu Muyan must have figured out an exit if she dared to do this. Lu Muyan looked at Sinan and Helian Lai with a smile that wasn't quite a smile and said slowly, Sure. When we finish our auction, we'll sell yours, but it'll take 1/10 of your auction prices as venue fee and commission fee. The corners of Sinan's lips twitched. Didn't Manager Jiang not charge venue fees? That's what I got with the Silver Ming Alliance token. If you're unreconciled, go to another venue for auction. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him, sell or not. There are many people who want to help, we're not lacking you. I'll do it. Helian Lai decisively chose to make the deal. Earning each bit counts. Either way, 1/10 wasn't too high. Sinan finally saw the speed at which this woman flipped face. All right. 1/10 it is. It wasn't that he couldn't bear the spiritual stones. He just wanted to tease her to begin with. Then why don't you hurry up and go recruit customers? We only have 2 hours. Lu Muyan turned around and looked at the several people fiercely, as if they were going to be beaten by her if they were any slower. Under Lu Muyan's sharp gaze, Sinan and the others ran right out of the auction hall with their tails between their legs and ordered their subordinates to go and spread the news of the auction. In only a bit, the sword masters in the entire central city knew that someone was holding a small auction in the auction hall of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, and the auction items were actually the identity jade tablets required for the semifinals to enter the finals. After hearing this news, many sword masters who didn't enter the top 500 with their points, or those who were in the top 500 but hadn't collected all 7 colors of jade tablets, instantly caused a commotion and rushed to the auction hall to see whether this was true or not. In the courtyard of an inn, a black-clothed man with outstanding temperament was playing a game of chess against himself. Fourth Prince, there's a piece of news you'd definitely be interested in. One of the elite team members hurried in and said. Ji Xian didn't reply immediately, and after dropping the last black chess piece in his hand did he raise his head and ask, What news? Lu Muyan and Sinan and the others are holding a small auction before the large auction at the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance's hall and is about to start. The man said with great interest. Holding a small auction? What do they want to do? Ji Xian took out a silk handkerchief and wiped his hands. Auctioning the identity jade tablets needed to enter the finals. The man replied with a smile. Ji Xian raised an eyebrow, then after pondering, he chuckled, She sure is bold. Is she doing this to provoke the authority of the organizers? Will she be punished? A person who sat beside Ji Xian asked. The organizers have never stipulated that the trading of identity jade tablets wasn't allowed. It can be considered taking advantage of a loophole, and at most it'll be banned in the future, but she definitely made a profit this time. Ji Xian himself was also a person who liked to calculate, but who knew that Lu Muyan was even more scheming than him. Selling identity jade tablets was only a matter of earning not losing, without even needing to pay the cost price. How did she come up with it using her little brain? Let's join in the fun. Ji Xian stood up and went out, and the others quickly followed. They were also curious about the auctioning of the identity jade tablets. At the same time, Yan Jun and Mo Ling were negotiating a deal in the private room of the Stream Reflection restaurant. Just as they finished, they heard a series of knocks on the door. What's the matter? Yan Jun let the person in and asked. Master, Lu Mu Yen, together with Si Nan and the others, are holding a small auction in the hall of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. Shall we go and have a look? Lu Mu Yen cured Yan Jun's illness and they were very grateful for it, so they were a little more concerned about her affairs. Auction? Just what wicked ideas has she come up with this time? Yan Jun's unparalleled face revealed slight interest. Lu Mu Yen, that woman, really could cause situations wherever she went. Interesting. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Ling was also very curious about what Lu Mu Yen wanted to do this time. She wants to auction off excess identity jade tablets, so she borrowed the auction venue of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to hold a small auction. Mo Ling said in surprise, the venues of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance aren't rented out. How did she do it? I heard that she has a Ming Alliance token, but I don't know the specifies. The person who reported it scratched his head and said, What, Ming Alliance token? Yan Jun was puzzled, then after drinking the spiritual wine in his cup, he suggested, Mo Ling, let's go take a look? He sure wanted to see what tricks Lu Mu Yen, that daring woman, was playing. It was the first time he heard that things like the identity jade tablets could also be auctioned. Sure. Mo Ling was also somewhat interested in Lu Mu Yen. The news that Lu Mu Yen was going to auction identity jade tablets was widely spread, and in only a moment, many people gathered in the auction hall. Seeing that the time and number of people were about right, Lu Mu Yen walked up the auction stage with a light smile on her face, her figure elegant and pleasing to the eye. I believe you have heard the news and know what we are going to auction today. Seeing the fiery eyes of many people below, she said with a smile, Exactly. What we are auctioning now is the key to entering the finals, identity jade tablets. With a beckon of her hand, Si Nan and Luo Li walked out with 2 plates, causing everyone below to be startled. Lu Mu Yen lifted the red cloth on the tray and the identity jade tablets of 7 different colors lined up on it instantly attracted the attention of those present. Young Miss Lu, how do you sell these jade tablets? Someone below asked impatiently. His points ranking had already advanced into the top 500, but unfortunately he was just missing a yellow jade tablet. He was originally rather anxious, wondering how to obtain a yellow jade tablet to keep his place in the finals, and didn't expect that it could be bought with money now, so how could he not be excited? All 7 colors of jade tablets have the same starting price. The auction will start with the purple jade tablets, with the starting price of 10,000 spiritual stones. The highest bidder wins. Lu Mu Yen then announced the auction price following the person's question. What? 10,000 spiritual stones? What the? This is robbing people. Isn't this cheating us? 10,000 spiritual stones, so expensive. As soon as her voice fell, there was a commotion, basically all disagreeing with the price. Even Yan Jun and Ji Xian, who were sitting in the very back row, couldn't help but hold their foreheads. Was she growing the habit of cheating foolish spenders now? She even dared to ask for the starting price of 10,000 spiritual stones for 1 identity jade tablet. But why did they think that the final price of these jade tablets would definitely be unexpected? Lu Mu Yen didn't stop them immediately, and waited for those below to have discussed a while before casting a look at Si Nan. Person who's super gaudy, are you still going to step up or not? When Si Nan received the look in her eyes, he knew there was nothing good to come from it, but since he had something to request of her, and he was also interested in her, he could only toughen his skin and scolded, regardless of shame or not. What tray you all arguing about? Are you saying a place for the competition isn't worth 10,000 spiritual stones? Get out if you don't want to buy it. Si Nan's voice carried the pressure of a sword sovereign. Although he had a suave smile on his face, but there was a coldness in his eyes which made those below instantly go quiet. He was very satisfied with this effect and continued. I believe that some people have already advanced into the top 500 but haven't yet collected all 7 colors of jade tablets. There are only 2 days until the finals. It would be a pity to be eliminated like this. Yeah. The person who spoke before couldn't resist but say in cooperation. So 10,000 spiritual stones for each identity jade tablet really isn't expensive. 10,000 spiritual stones can buy you entry into the finals. Where can you find such a deal? Chapter 274. Revoke participation place. After listening to Sinan's words, those who had already advanced into the top 500 but had not collected all 7 colors of jade tablets were all moved. Spiritual stones could be found again, but if one missed this chance to enter the finals, one would regret it for the rest of their lives. Give me one. The big man who had spoken the entire time shouted again. Lu Muyan's long eyelashes concealed the look in her eyes and smiled lightly. Let the first jade token be considered an auspicious start, so it won't be auctioned. 10,000 spiritual stones sold directly to this friend. I wonder which colored jade tablet you want? Then she looked at the big man and asked. The big man started at the jade tablet on the trays excitedly. I want the yellow one. Lu Muyan nodded with a smile and gave Sinan a look. Sinan comprehended and handed the yellow jade tablet on the tray to the big man. You've got good eyes. There aren't many yellow jade tablets, and you definitely won't be able to buy them at this price later. The big man took out a bag of spiritual stones to exchange and said with an honest smile, as long as I can enter the finals, no matter how expensive it is, it'll be worth it. Well said. Sinan gave the big man a look as if saying you have good insight. With the success of the big man's transaction, many people on the sidelines also became restless. Lu Muyan took advantage of the situation to start the auction. The purple jade tablets were auctioned first, and the last were the red jade tablets. The auction atmosphere wasn't that active at the beginning, but the price of each jade tablet all exceeded 10,000 spiritual stones. When there weren't many jade tablets left, many became impatient, and the prices increased by many folds. Especially when the red jade tablets were being auctioned, the situation could be described as overwhelming. Although the red jade tablets represented the identity of a small kingdom swordmaster, but it was also the jade tablet with the least amount in the semifinals. There were very few small kingdom swordmasters participating in semifinals. There were many people but not a lot of porridge, so many didn't have this color of jade tablets. In the end, the red jade tablets were increased to a minimum of 30,000 spiritual stones, and the highest was 50,000 spiritual stones each. The face of the second prince who finally won a red jade token at the price of 40,000 couldn't be any darker. He finally found out that the woman really wasn't selling it to him at a black price before, and he regretted that when Lu Muyan asked him if he wanted a red jade tablet for 10,000 spiritual stones or not, why he had a brain spasm and refused. Now his heart was bleeding. He just spent an extra 30,000 more spiritual stones and he really wanted to give himself a few slaps on the cheek. The auction of jade tablets was better than expected. Lu Muyan was in a good mood, and she let Sinan and the others auction their own. After the auction, many people regretfully asked if there were still any more jade tablets left. They were all driven crazy by the auction atmosphere earlier, and it were as if it didn't matter how many spiritual stones they spent, it was all very profitable. On the top floor of the auction hall were the organizers of this continental tournament for hegemony. The organizer of this small auction is Lu Muyan, who's been restless since she entered the competition space. One of them, a black-clothed elderly man, asked with an indifferent expression. A black-clothed middle-aged man behind him replied, "Reporting to Master, she is precisely Lu Muyan." Interesting. The black-clothed elderly man revealed a rare, slight smile. An older woman whose charm still remained sitting beside him revealed an expression of slight displeasure. She even dares to auction identity jade tablets. She sure is courageous. I suggest disqualifying her from the competition. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. She didn't like women who were in the limelight, and Lu Muyan's way of doing things obviously displeased her. A cyan-clothed elderly man opposite her stroked his long beard and said, "Us organizers has not stipulated that the auction of identity jade tablets is not allowed. If we disqualify her from the competition because of this, it would be unreasonable. This little girl has the courage to think and act. I sure think it isn't bad. Disqualification from the competition is too serious a consequence." A rather enchanting and charming woman had a hint of admiration in her eyes. "She is provoking the authority of us organizers. If everyone learns from this and does the same, wouldn't it break the rules of the competitions?" The older-aged woman whose charm still remained said with furrowed brows. The black-clothed elderly man glanced coldly at the woman and said slowly, "This kind of competition should break the norms to begin with. She did a good job." This little girl's behavior was very appealing to him, and he sure could pay more attention to her in the future. Then he instructed the middle-aged man behind him, "Send a complete copy of Lu Muyan's information to me." "Yes, master." The black-clothed elderly man stood up indifferently, ignored everyone and walked directly out the door. Others didn't dare express their dissatisfaction. This person wasn't someone they could offend. The woman didn't mention disqualifying Lu Muyan from the competitor list because of the words of the black-clothed elderly man, but she was still very displeased with Lu Muyan inwardly. In the castle in the central area, the elders of the 6 major sects also received the news of the auction and of the organizers immediately. This Lu Muyan sure has so many ideas. She even dared to put identity jade tablets on auction. I don't know whether I should say she's courageous and intelligent, or that she's young and impulsive. The elder of the Spirit Tamers sect said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Fortunately, old Mo didn't follow the advice of that spiritual wine master of the Stream Reflection restaurant to remove her from the list, otherwise it would be a huge loss. Although they didn't agree much with Lu Muyan's approach, but they still appreciated it. Although Li Yuyun is one of the judges of the organizers, representing the Stream Reflection restaurant, but the real power of this competition is still in the hands of old Mo of the Smithing Pavilion. Even if she isn't reconciled, she still needs to swallow this. The elder of the medicine sect obviously didn't quite like the woman who spoke and wanted to revoke Lu Muyan's place. The strong and sturdy elder of the 8 Extremes sect snorted coldly, "An old woman who can't find a man to marry just likes to point fingers." Seeing that the little girl is young, beautiful, and capable, she becomes jealous. If Lu Muyan was really disqualified because of her words, he would definitely go smash the signboard of the Stream Reflection restaurant on behalf of the 8 Extreme sect. It wasn't easy for him to finally find a good seedling that's hard to find in 100 years for his sect, all right? The others nodded in agreement. She is indeed stretching her hands a little too long. Lu Muyan was the dark horse that their 6 major sects valued. If she was really disqualified from participating in the finals by Li Yuyun, then wouldn't they all be irritated to death? There was a cold light in the eyes of the otherworldly, handsome, white-clothed man sitting behind the few people. A mere elder of the Stream Reflection restaurant dares to be so presumptuous. Should he remove her himself or wait for his woman to slap her in the face herself? Lu Muyan's small auction took only just over an hour to auction off the excess jade tablets on her. Her ranking also dropped from 2nd to 8th. She happily swept the spiritual stones in her interspatial ring with her mental energy. This time, more than 400,000 spiritual stones worth of identity jade tablets were auctioned off. This was an exceptionally beneficial business, but a pity it wouldn't last. Yiqing Han and the others also had smiles all over their faces. Each of them had harvested more than 100,000 spiritual stones each. It seemed that they could buy 1 or 2 items at this auction now. Fu Chun couldn't believe it when he was holding the spiritual stones. He smiled excitedly at Lu Muyan and said, "Muyan, we can eat all the tasty food and strong drinks out there by following you." "That's right, just look at who elder sister here is." Lu Muyan's smile, looking Sundra. "Little beauty, who are you the elder sister of? Why don't you call me elder brother?" The amount of spiritual stones seen and obtained was also a lot, and he approached Lu Muyan to joke around as he was in a good mood. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow and asked with a sinister smile, "What are the benefits of calling you elder brother?" Chapter 275. Land of Inheritance. Seen and shuddered when he heard Lu Muyan's sinister tone. I'm just joking. If he really asked this woman to call him elder brother, then he was afraid he'd lose a layer of skin. Lu Muyan narrowed her eyes at him, then retracted her gaze. Seeing that some people in the auction hall had followed suit and also started selling identity jade tablets, she didn't say anything. If she wanted to eat meat, then she should let others drink some soup at least, so as not to become the target of public criticism. After a little, the auction of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance officially began. Because the auction was held in the competition space, so all the sword masters participating sat in the hall without discrimination and there weren't any separate private rooms. Lu Muyan was the holder of the silver token, so she was arranged by manager Jiang to sit in the front 3 rows, and the sword masters from elite teams from superpower kingdoms also sat in the front 10 rows. Ji Xian and Yan Jun happened to be sitting behind her. The two obviously knew each other and they chatted while sitting together. Lu Muyan leaned back on the chair languidly, listening in to the conversation between the two from time to time and obtained some news from it. For example, in today's auction, although the major forces didn't send people to participate, but there were many participating sword masters with clan missions and the competition would be very fierce. Lu Muyan, you made a lot of money this time, didn't you? Yan Jun's amorous eyes were filled with a smile, and he reached out to pat her shoulder. Lu Muyan turned her head, nodded, and said with a smile, I indeed earned a lot, but no matter how much I earn, I'll never forget the 50,000 spiritual stones you owe me. Yan Jun's lips twitched. This woman sure was obsessed with money. Yan Jun owes you 50,000 spiritual stones? Ji Xian asked in surprise. Lu Muyan glanced at him. So what? I'm just a little curious about how he ended up owing you 50,000 spiritual stones. Ji Xian's handsome face revealed a bit of playfulness. Is it like the second prince? You think that's possible? Yan Jun's face darkened. He wasn't a waste like that second prince. Then why do you owe her spiritual stones? Ji Xian asked persistently. A tigress, she cured my illness. Lu Muyan was decisively interrupted by Yan Jun before she could continue speaking. Lu Muyan chuckled softly, and she felt much better when she saw the ugly look on Yan Jun's face. What tigress? Ji Xian could see at a glance that Yan Jun's expression wasn't good and there was something hidden behind what Lu Muyan said. Lu Muyan looked askance at him, blinked, and said, You want to know? I want to know. Ji Xian nodded. The news fee is 20,000 spiritual stones. Lu Muyan looked as if she was like a little fox saying, You got a bargain. You really can only think about money. Ji Xian looked at her with amusement and didn't ask any more questions. It wasn't worth 20,000 spiritual stones to hear Yan Jun's embarrassments. Yan Jun glared at Lu Muyan. You, woman, really became addicted to robbery, didn't you? She actually wanted to sell the most humiliating news in his life to Ji Xian. She's truly abominable. If Ji Xian, this kid, knew that he was almost forced by a demonic beast, wouldn't he laugh at him for the rest of his life? How did you know? Lu Muyan blinked. She just said that to Ji Xian so that he would retreat. She wouldn't reveal what happened that day. After all, it was a very disgraceful event for Yan Jun. Yan Jun smiled helplessly. He simply couldn't match this woman's glib tongue. By the way, you just said that she cured your illness. Ji Xian elbowed Yan Jun's arm, raised an eyebrow and asked, Is it possibly? Yes. Yan Jun's heart disease had been cured and there was no more fear that he must not speak of it. Ji Xian was slightly surprised. It seemed that he still had underestimated Lu Muyan before. Guqin, very old 7-stringed instrument. Can be translated to zither. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Suddenly, a melodious and brisk Guqin sound came from ahead, and the auction hall, which was originally noisy, instantly became quiet. After the sound of the Guqin fell, a stunning young woman with a delicate and beautiful appearance and an exquisite figure stepped onto the front stage, causing the eyes of many men to follow her continuously. Beauty! Sinan looked at the stage with great interest, saying so, but his eyes were very clear. Lu Muyen saw that the woman on stage was wearing a long rose-red dress, had an excellent figure one, and her appearance was comparable to that of Mu Ning, but she had a few more mature feminine charms. Not only is she a beauty, she's also a stunner. Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with admiration. She didn't know why, but she didn't feel disgusted by this woman, but instead had a faint liking for her. The corners of the several people's lips twitched when they heard her praise. It was the first time they've heard a woman commenting another woman as a stunner. Helian Lai smiled with frivolity and asked, "While women also appreciate each other? Why can't we women appreciate each other? The woman on the stage is indeed very attractive." Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. They didn't deny her words. The woman above was indeed a stunner, but they were more interested in Lu Muyen. "Greetings everyone. My name is Leng Yi and am the auctioneer of this Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance auction." Leng Yi's voice was tender and soft, but it didn't make people feel pretentious. "This woman's voice is also quite nice," Helian Lai said with a smile. Xinan chuckled and asked, "Have you bones softened?" Helian Lai's face darkened and he glanced at Lu Muyen in his peripheral vision. Only after seeing that she didn't have any reaction did he turn to glare at Xinan. "Do you think him as lustful as you? This young master likes beautiful women. That's nothing to be ashamed about. How can you say it's lust?" Xinan shook his fan with a frivolous look. Luo Li furrowed his brows and said, "Enough from you two perverts, the auction has started." The two of them turned their heads away and cursed inwardly. Luo Li is such a hypocrite. Lu Muyen knew that they were joking around and ignored it, turning her attention to the beauty on the stage. "I believe everyone already knows the rules of the auction. I won't say much here." Leng Yi snapped her fingers and a beautiful woman in yellow came up on stage, holding a tray. "This is a sword skill of Earth rank, acquired by a sword saint powerhouse in the Land of Inheritance. It is suitable for Ice attribute sword masters and there are 10 sets of sword techniques. Each set is very powerful, and there is also a set of a nameless sword realm in this sword skill. If one can comprehend it, then your future achievements will definitely be extraordinary. Tossing aside everything else, I believe everyone knows the value of sword skills from the Land of Inheritance." After introducing the sword skills, Leng Yi continued, "As the first auction item, our Chamber of Commerce will set its starting price at 1 low-quality spiritual stone. The auction begins now." Hearing Leng Yi's words, most of the sword masters below were fiery with desire now. "It's actually from the Land of Inheritance. That senior sword saint sure is lucky. Earth rank sword skills are rare to begin with, and there are even fewer ones that contain sword realms. Who would have expected that we'd meet one at this auction? Things that come out of the Land of Inheritance are all good things, even if they're a mortal rank 2 sword skill. Although the starting price of this Earth rank sword skill is 1 spiritual stone, but it's difficult to win without strong capital." That's true. A copy of this kind of sword skill can fetch sky-high prices outside. I wonder how much it'll go for today." The discussions below rose one after another, all revolving around the Land of Inheritance and the sword skill. Lu Muyen was puzzled and looked at Xinan beside her, asking, "What sort of place is the Land of Inheritance?" Hearing her question, Xinan and the others were completely speechless. This woman was usually so shrewd and capable, but she actually didn't even know about the Land of Inheritance. Ji Xian always thought that Lu Muyan's origin might not be as simple as it seemed, but when he heard her question he couldn't help but hold his forehead. He could now be sure that Lu Muyen, this cunning, sly woman, really came from a small kingdom like that Yanzhou, otherwise it was impossible for her to not even know the Land of Inheritance. One don't actually know how author described the woman because it was censored. Haha, too, author actually used yellow rank here, but she could have gotten confused since some other cultivation novels do use a similar but different ranking system. Either way, I've corrected it to mortal rank, what she mentioned in an earlier chapter somewhere, but I'll see how many times the author uses yellow rank and decide which to use eventually. Chapter 276. I've got money with nowhere to spend. Lu Muyen had already read the files in the Imperial Library before coming to the competition space, but it hardly mentioned anything about the secrets of the continent. Yanzhou Kingdom may be considered a medium-sized kingdom compared to its surrounding areas, but compared to the participating kingdoms in the competition space, it was like the difference between a large rock and a speck of gravel. Any few sword venerable elders from any superpower kingdom could destroy Lu Muyan's kingdom easily, which made her sense of danger stronger and stronger. In order to keep the Lu clan standing, she must continue to become stronger. Even the Lu clan needs to be transformed into an iron wall so that people couldn't take advantage of it. The Land of Inheritance is a very mysterious place. It's opened once every 100 years by the 6 major sects and several top forces in the continent jointly opening up a channel for the pupils to enter. Xinan introduced. Lu Muyan thought a bit and asked, "Is it a fixed time every 100 years? Do they open a passage just for the pupils to enter?" When Xinan and the others heard her questions, they all subconsciously felt a sense of appreciation in their hearts. She really had a clever mind and could take the initiative to grasp the key details in a simple introduction. The opening time of the Land of Inheritance is actually not fixed. It's just that every 100 years, there will be a period when the restriction outside is at its weakest. The 6 major sects and several top forces use that time to open up channels. And only allowing pupils to enter is because there's no other way. The inheritance space can only accommodate sword masters who have a cultivation base below Sword Saint. If a Sword Saint powerhouse or above entered the Land of Inheritance, they would be killed by a space storm that suddenly appears or would be spontaneously teleported out. Xinan continued. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow. Didn't the auctioneer just say that the Earth-rank sword skill was found in the inheritance space by a Sword Saint powerhouse? Why can he enter? That was 200 years ago. After the last opening of the Land of Inheritance, Sword Saint cultivation base powerhouses were unable to set foot in there. It's said that the endurance of that space has reached its limit and is on the verge of collapse. Yan Jun interjected. If a Sword Saint powerhouse forcibly enters and fights in the space, then it will cause the space to be destroyed and collapse instantly. The Land of Inheritance may never be opened again in the future, so the 6 major sects and several top forces don't dare take that risk, and are also reluctant to sacrifice Sword Saint powerhouses. What good things are in the Land of Inheritance? Is it a secret realm? Lu Muyan was obviously more interested in what was inside. Ji Xian smiled. The most attractive thing about the Land of Inheritance is the inheritance. It's said that the space began to develop in the ancient times. After every high-level Sword Saint and Sword Deity level powerhouses die, as long as their consciousness condenses a will, they will leave an inheritance hall in the inheritance space, and use a wisp of their divine soul to preserve their lives' skills or special techniques to pass on to those who are destined. There are also Sword Saints or Sword Deity level powerhouses who will choose to go to the inheritance space to build an inheritance hall when they have no hope of breaking through. There are manuals and magic tools from their entire lives placed in there, just for someone to find it and continue their legacy. Luo Yi added. So that's how it is. Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with interest. She might have to go and take a look when she had the chance. While the several people were discussing, the auction was also proceeding fiercely, and the Earth-rank cultivation method was already up to 20,000 spiritual stones. You don't want to bid? Lu Muyan asked Xinan and the others. If she remembered correctly, Xinan and Ji Xian both cultivated the ice attribute elemental law. There are some flaws in this Earth rank method. Those who know generally won't bid for it. Xinan whispered. Lu Muyan looked at him and asked curiously, "How do you know? What flaw?" This manual was auctioned once, more than a decade ago. It was won by a genius sword sovereign, but because the will in the sword skill has the disadvantage of devouring mental energy, the possibility of that sword sovereign advancing to sword venerable was destroyed. Xinan said with slight pity. Observing the people around them who were bidding, one could see that there wasn't a single sword master from a superpower kingdom. Although this was a secret matter, but there were still many people who knew it. After all, things that came from the Land of Inheritance were rare. They were not unmoved, but they didn't dare to gamble their future on a sword skill. Lu Muyan observed her surroundings and also found the problem. There was interest in her eyes. The will of the sword skill that could devour mental energy? Interesting. This sword master has bid 20,000 spiritual stones. Is there anyone else who will bid higher? Lung Yi scanned the people who sat below and said with a smile, I will count to 3. If no one bids, then this sword skill will belong to this friend. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. 1, 2. When Lung Yi was about to call 3, a lazy and clear female voice suddenly sounded. 30,000 spiritual stones. Sinan and Ji Xian looked at Lu Mu Yen as if they didn't know her. Are you crazy? Lu Mu Yen, Sinan just told you about the flaw of that sword skill. 30,000 spiritual stones isn't worth it. Luo Li didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to bid even when she knew that the sword skill had a problem, so he persuaded. Lu Mu Yan's eyebrows were beautiful and there was an unrestrained smile on her face. No worries, I've got a lot of money, and if I don't use it, I'll feel uneasy. The several people rolled their eyes inwardly. What sort of reason was that? 40,000. Obviously, the previous sword master was also very interested in this sword skill. Lu Mu Yen ignored the gaze of the several people who wanted to stop her and continued to bid, 50,000. The sword master revealed a bit of displeasure, then finally sighed and stopped bidding. 50,000 already exceeded his expectations. Lu Mu Yen, if you've really got too much money that you feel uneasy, we can help you use it. Using it to buy this flawed manual, be careful not to lose your army on top of losing your wife. Sinan couldn't resist but say. This woman was really not a normal person, knowing that there were tigers in the mountains, yet still walking towards the mountains with tigers. Can I buy it to be a desk pad? Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, with an expression as if saying Laonyang has money with nowhere so spend, so I'm happy to buy. Sinan took a deep breath and turned his head to the side, otherwise he was afraid that he couldn't resist strangling her to death. Lu Mu Yen was a woman that made people both love and hate, and no one could compare to how she angered people. Ji Xian and the others couldn't help twitching their lips when they saw her expression as if saying I've got money that was looking for a beating. They won't bother with her. She couldn't be looked at with gazes when looking at a normal person. In the end, Lu Mu Yen won the Earth rank sword skill at the price of 50,000 spiritual stones, which made many sword masters pay more attention to her. Lu Mu Yen, after you get the sword skill, don't research too deeply into it. I've heard that this sword skill is very insidious, and has already rotated through many owners. Luo Yi knew that Lu Mu Yen would never do things without reason. He naturally wouldn't believe the excuse she said about having too much money and feeling uneasy about it, but he still couldn't resist but remind her. With such excellent, heaven-defying talent, it would really be a pity if she was really compromised by this skill. Thank you for your caution, I understand. Lu Mu Yen replied with a smile. It was precisely because this sword skill had flaws and was insidious that she bid for it. Otherwise, why would she spend 50,000 spiritual stones to bid for an Earth rank sword skill? Of course, it was naturally impossible for her to announce her ideas to the others. After all, she hadn't even studied this insidious sword skill yet. She won the sword skill purely out of interest and curiosity. You are an unreasonable woman. Luo Li glared at her. Lu Mu Yen smiled and said in a way that made her look as if she was seeking a beating, What can I do? I've got a lot of money. The several people gritted their teeth, but also had to admit that Lu Mu Yen was indeed the person with the most spiritual stones among them. Chapter 277. Sumeru Lightboat. After the first auction item was won by Lu Mu Yen, Lung Yi continued to auction the second item. The second question item is a bottle of grade 3 pills. Item after item were auctioned off by Leng. Yen Jun and the others all got what they wanted, and even Yi Qing Han, Yun Zmo, and the others obtained a few good magic tools and spiritual items. Towards the end, Lu Mu Yen only bid for and won a few spiritual herbs and spiritual items besides the manual. Lu Mu Yen, don't you want to bid for this defense-type magic tool? Luo Li turned to Lu Mu Yen to ask when he heard Leng introduce a defensive shield refined by a grade 4 smith. Lu Mu Yen glanced at the shield. Middle-quality saint tool, made from the bones and skin of peak phase tier 6 demonic beasts. The refining method was relatively skilled, but unfortunately, it didn't enter her eyes. Not interested. Nan leaned over and said, "You only have the golden sword attack type magic tool. You indeed need a defense type magic tool. The shield above is the best defense type magic tool in this auction. You really want to think about it? Can the above shield withstand the full force bombardment of advanced phase sword sovereigns?" Lu Muyen asked instead. "If they attack with all their strength a dozen or so times, it can probably not withstand it." Nan thought a little then replied. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. "Then is there a reason I need to buy it? Do you really think I'm a fool who has more money than I can spend?" She could now fight against sword masters at sword sovereign cultivation base, so this shield was only a burden to her. The corner of Nan's lips twitched. It couldn't withstand the full force bombardment of her advanced phase sword sovereign, but it could still resist initial and middle phase sword sovereign attacks. It was still useful in combat. But remembering Lu Muyan's strong and abnormally monstrous combat power, he instantly silenced himself. Ji Xian and the others felt speechless when they heard her words. Comparing the earth-rank sword skill to this shield was obviously more practical. She was indeed not a fool, she was a lunatic. When the auction came to an end, Lung Yi smiled softly and said, "All the items prepared for this auction have been sold. Now the finale will be auctioned. I believe it won't disappoint everyone. Young Miss Lung, don't keep us guessing, take out the finale item and let's have a look." The sword masters below shouted impatiently. After he finished speaking, everyone else agreed. The finale item of each auction of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance were all very rare and valuable items, so they were naturally the most sought-after items. Of course the price must also be ridiculously high. Since everyone is so impatient, then I won't continue to keep you guessing. Lung Yi smiled and clapped her hands. A white-robed man walked onto the stage, and with a flip of his palm, a black boat the size of a palm appeared. "It's actually a flying-type magic tool." Someone in the audience exclaimed. Other people's eyes were also very fierce as they stared at the boat in the man's hand. Light boat, typical appearance of a light boat. This is a flying-type magic tool that the Grade 5 Smith, Great Master Wu, spent 10 years refining, the Sumeru 1 light boat. Great Master Wu, it's actually a magic tool refined by Great Master Wu. Yeah. Great Master Wu has been famous on Tianling continent for more than 200 years, and he hasn't auctioned magic tools for decades, but we actually encountered one this time. Only when Lung Yi saw that the people below were all excited, did she continue to speak slowly. The Sumer light boat has the speed of a Tier 7 flying demonic beast and has a defensive function comparable to a top-quality defense-type saint tool. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, and there is the most important feature of the Sumeru light boat, and that is that it can change its size freely. The smallest form is only the size of a palm. A sword master can also shrink it to this limit while sitting on this light boat. It's an excellent choice for exploring secret realms or going out without attracting others' attention. A flying-type magic tool the size of a palm is a very small target, and it also has a defense function of a high-quality saint tool. Such a magic tool has not appeared in at least 100 years. Everyone must seize this opportunity. Lung Yi's words sounded very truthful, but they also easily incited people's enthusiasm and had hidden meanings. Many people below were moved. "Young Miss Lung, how many people can this Sumeru light boat carry?" A sword master from a large kingdom below asked. "It can carry up to 3,000 people." Lung Yi predicted that someone would ask questions below, so she didn't introduce everything at the beginning. It would be more engaging questioning and answering like this. Since it can seat so many people, if there is an emergency in the clan, it can also be used to escape. A sword master behind him muttered. His words were also what other sword masters thought. It having the flying speed of a Tier 7 demonic beast meant that it was even faster than that of a human sword venerable flying on swords. If one's clan encountered any major disaster, using this defensive light boat to escape was also a trump card. Lu Muyan's mental energy stretched forward and swept over the Sumeru light boat, then an arc rose on her lips. This flying-type defense magic tool was indeed a fine product. If she found several rare spars in the future to re-refine it, its grade could be improved again. Defensive flying-type magic tools were more practical than flying demonic beasts. After all, they could carry a lot more people, so it wasn't bad to win it and use it as an escape trump card for the Lu clan. She rubbed her chin and thought about it. By then, she could even refine a few puppet mechanisms to install on the light boat. After making it attack, defend, and fly, she believed that even if the Lu clan was attacked by a sword venerable level powerhouse, they could transfer the clan members to escape safely. "Young Miss Leng, can you use this Sumer light boat in battle?" One of them asked. Many flying-type magic tools were good and easy to use, but the moment they met a battle, they would be unable to be activated. Plus, because they're expensive, many sword masters preferred to choose flying-type spirit pets. The Sumer light boat can 100% be activated for battle. You can all rest assured and try it as much as you want after you win it. Lung Yi's stunning and gorgeous face had a firm look. If it can't be activated, then our Chamber of Commerce will not only refund the full amount, but also double the compensation. Gasp! Hearing her promise, many people couldn't resist drawing a deep breath. To have the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance make such a promise proved that the Sumer light boat was definitely as Lung Yi said, otherwise who would be stupid enough to pay double? It had a large load capacity, could change its size, and had the attributes of a defensive top-quality saint tool. It was indeed worthy of being the finale item of the auction. No one present was unmoved by such a flying-type magic tool. "Young Miss Lu, may I take the liberty of asking, since this Sumer light boat is so good, why would it be auctioned in this competition space?" A sword master from a superpower kingdom asked rationally. If such a thing was taken out of the competition space to auction, it was definitely an item that numerous kingdoms or distinguished clans would vie for. They, elite pupils of their clans participating in the competition space, simply couldn't compare to the financial resources of their entire clan. Even if one came with a clan mission, the spiritual stones brought were still limited. The question he asked was also the suspicion in the hearts of many people. Could it be that this Sumer light boat had a huge drawback too? A good question from this friend. Lung Yi smiled gracefully, radiating youthfulness. "This is also something I was prepared to speak about. One Sumeru is a name of a mountain, I believe. I didn't know how to translate and was just going to leave it as Shuni, but there just so happened to be a mountain named that, so I used that translation. The original Chinese for this boat is Chaper 278. Precisely wants to frustrate you to death. Everyone present calmed down and looked at Lung Yi on the stage, waiting for her answer. Lung Yi smiled gracefully and said, "Senior Wu participated in the Tianling Continent Tournament of Hegemony 200 years ago. Although he didn't advance into the top 100 at the time, but he obtained a fortuitous opportunity in the competition space that allowed him to become a smith, and he also met his beloved wife in that competition. This time he spent 10 years refining the Sumer light boat to commemorate the opportunity of that year, and to auction the light boat here to encourage everyone." Lung Yi continued, "Of course, if Great Master Wu can refine one Sumer light boat, then he can refine the second, so you all don't need to be too concerned." Lung Yi's meaning was obvious. Great Master Wu made the first Sumer light boat to commemorate the fortuitous opportunity of that year, and his 10 years of hard work had not been in vain. It was most likely that when he made the second flying-type magic tool, he would be more familiar with the process. So that's how it is. I have long heard that Great Master Wu had met that talented female cultivator in the competition space who became his beloved companion, and as such, their story became a fine tale that spread far and wide. It seems that the chance encounter in the competition space wasn't small, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to become the current grade 5 smith he is. Many people appeared as if they were given a stimulant. Great Master Wu being able to meet a fortuitous opportunity that made him turn from an inconspicuous person from a small-medium kingdom into a grade 5 smith who was now famous across the mainland meant that they may also be able to encounter a large opportunity. In such a way, we, sword masters who participated this time, are sharing a bit of his light. I heard that Great Master's hobbies are all rather strange, so it's understandable if Great Master Wu wants to commemorate that fortuitous encounter." Lu Muyen recognized that Leng Yi's frank expression didn't seem to be fake, but she just had a constant feeling that the reason for the great master's auction was a little far-fetched. If that's the case, then Miss Leng, quickly auction it. The people below all believed in this reason and shouted excitedly for Leng Yi to quickly auction it. Since everyone is so impatient, then I won't say any more. Leng Yi said with a smile. The starting price of this Sumeru light boat is 20,000 spiritual stones, and the price must not increase lower than 1,000 spiritual stones each time. The auction will now start. 25,000 spiritual stones. As soon as she finished speaking, someone began to bid. 30,000 spiritual stones. 50,000 spiritual stones. Very soon, the price was called to 100,000 spiritual stones. It seemed that the elite pupils of those large kingdoms were all prepared and rich. 120,000. Luo Ye's clear voice came out slowly. Yan Jun also wanted to bid for it, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough spiritual stones, so he had to give up. Although Ji Xian was valued in the empire, but he was always suppressed by that Jiyu mother and son pair, so in the resources he obtained, he had limited spiritual stones. He didn't have any hope for the Sumeru light boat. Jiyu was swallowed by the evil Jiao, and the interspatial ring was also swallowed together. Everyone thought that the ring was still in the evil Jiao's belly, but no one knew that Mo Yen had devoured that evil Jiao and the ring had already landed in Lu Muyan's hands. Therefore, Lu Muyan was actually rolling in money right now. 130,000. Xinan shouted slovenly. Although Helian Lai's empire wasn't as good as the two of theirs, but he came with the resources of the imperial family and also desired the Sumeru light boat. 140,000. 160,000. An elite pupil of a superpower kingdom shouted. 180,000. Luo Yi continued to follow. 200,000. Helian Lai gritted his teeth. Xinan narrowed his eyes and shouted his baseline price. 220,000. 230,000. Luo Yi continued. 250,000. The man was obviously very confident. 260,000. Luo Yi hadn't reached his bottom price yet. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The man snorted coldly and shouted. 300,000. 300,000 already exceeded Luo Yi's bottom price, and the empire's resources he brought were exactly this number. Although he had long guessed that the Sumeru light boat wouldn't be so easy to obtain, but he didn't expect it to be so high. Of course, if this flying-type magic tool was auctioned outside, the price would definitely not be lower than 500,000 low-quality spiritual stones. The price of 300,000 caused an uproar among the sword masters. This was a huge amount of money. Everyone thought that the person who made the final bid would definitely win, and even the sword master himself thought so, just waiting for Leng Yi to announce the result, but who knew that he would hear a lazy and sweet voice. 310,000. Everyone followed the voice to find that the person who made the bid was a peerless, purple-clothed woman, and many recognized that she was the one who auctioned the identity jade tablets before. This woman probably made a lot from auctioning identity jade tablets before. Someone muttered bitterly. There were also people who were slightly afraid of Lu Muyen. She can use the venue of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to hold a small auction. This means that her background shouldn't be average. It's better to not provoke her. This one is the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom. This Sumeru light boat is very important to me, so I hope Miss Lu can yield. There was a haze in the eyes of the man who bid before. His words made Luo Li and the others furrow their brows. Was he trying to threaten Lu Muyen? Apologies. I also like this Sumeru light boat. The one with the highest price will obtain it. You can bid as you please. If it can be higher than me, then this flying magic tool will naturally belong to you. Lu Muyen hooked her lips, and what she said was arrogant and unrestrained. Using Nanshuan Kingdom to oppress her? What's that about? The expression of the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom darkened. This woman truly failed to appreciate one's kindness. How dare a person from a small kingdom be so arrogant? So what if she's the dark horse? Wasn't she just relying on the fact that she knew Luo Li and Xinan to fight him? He really didn't believe that if he and her were to actually fight, that Luo Li, Si Nan, and the others would form a bad relationship with him just because of Lu Mu Yen. 330,000. He cursed Lu Mu Yen inwardly. It could have been one using 300,000 originally, yet who knew that an accident would occur? It would be an unhappy occurrence for anyone. It was just that he completely forgot that this was an auction, and the one with the highest price would win. That was the truth. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him casually, then shouted leisurely, 350,000. Young Miss Lu, are you certain that you want to spend so much money buying a flying-type magic tool? The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom added with a bit of sharp, murderous intent, and even more threats. Lu Mu Yen hated people who used their family background to oppress her the most. Her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and she said lazily, I've got a lot of money and want to find a place to spend it. What can you do about it? Her answer made everyone present twitch their lips. So it turned out that she bid because she had a lot of money and nowhere to use it. She was truly arrogant and exasperating. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. He only had 360,000 spiritual stones on him, and it was all gathered from his teammates. This woman truly was too presumptuous. 360,000. Calling out his bottom price, he looked at Lu Mu Yen with deep, threatening cold eyes. Lu Mu Yen smiled sweetly, beautiful and moving. She blinked at the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom and said, 361,000 spiritual stones. You! The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom couldn't help but stand and point at her, but he didn't know how to curse her. This woman must have done it on purpose. How did she know that he only had 360,000 spiritual stones on him? Although I have a lot of money, but I can't waste it. Lu Mu Yen chuckled lightly, then raised her eyes and said to the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom with a smile, Your Highness the Crown Prince, you can ignore me and continue to bid. Laonyang precisely wants to frustrate you to death. Anyone who dared threaten her all went to hell. As long as she wanted to win this Sumeru light boat, then the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom would definitely hold a grudge. Since they were going to forge a feud anyways, then it didn't matter if she angered the other party a little more. The killing intent in the other party's eyes wasn't concealed at all, and the more he was like this, the more she wanted to poke the other's sore spot. Moreover, this flying-type magic tool was a way of escape for the Lu clan if they ever met danger, so she naturally wouldn't yield. Want to buy the Sumeru light boat? Well, then she'd definitely snatch it. Chapter 279. Conspiracy. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom was choked by Lu Mu Yen and couldn't say a word, annoyed and frustrated to death. He took a deep breath and sat back in his seat, afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist strangling that woman that smiled like a flower. Your Royal Highness the Crown Prince, continue. Lu Mu Yen saw the other party's expression turn grim, and she smiled even more cheerfully. There was even an expression of wanting this to continue on her face. Seeing this, the others couldn't bear to look directly at her. Why did they feel that this stunning woman really needed a beating? This was blatant showing off. Having money sure made one arrogant. The anger that the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom had just suppressed soared again. He snorted coldly with a dark expression, I'll let you. But you don't have to let me. Lu Mu Yen blinked innocently. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan glared at her fiercely, then turned to Lung Yi on the stage and said, Young Miss Leng, let's continue the auction. He also wanted to continue to bid, but it was a pity that he was suppressed by Lu Mu Yen. If he still had more spiritual stones, he would definitely smash them on the floor and blind Lu Mu Yen. Lung Yi glanced at the Crown Prince of Nanshuan meaningfully with her usual smile on her beautiful face, while there was a small, genuine smile seeping from her eyes. That woman named Lu Mu Yen sure was interesting. This young miss has bid 361,000 spiritual stones. Is there anyone who will bid higher? After waiting for a while, no one bid any more, and Lung Yi said with a smile, I will count from 3. If no one bids, the Sumeru light boat will belong to this young Mississippi. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to this young miss for winning the finale item of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance auction. Lung Yi said a few more emotional words and ended the auction. When she left, she glanced at Lu Mu Yen with great interest. Lu Mu Yan's eyes met hers for a few breaths of time, and an arc rose on her lips. After the auction, the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom walked in front of Lu Mu Yen with a grim and sinister smile on his face. Lu Mu Yen, I hope you can enter the finals alive. Pfft. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, Ji once said the same to me, but this young miss is still alive and well, yet he has already reported to the palace of King Yama. Just you wait. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom naturally knew that Jiyu led people to besiege and kill Lu Mu Yen, but was instead backlashed by the talisman. That person's death was indeed inseparable from this woman. Lu Mu Yen revealed a look as if she were looking at an idiot. I'll accompany you to the end. There were countless people who wanted her to die, and there were also many people who had told her to wait, but in the end, she was still living filled with sound and color, while those who spoke harshly all went to hell. So she never spoke harshly to anyone. She was always just a proactive person. After the Crown Prince of Nanshuan left, Lu Mu Yen and her party went to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to exchange for the auction items. Lu Mu Yen was taken to a special private room and was personally received by Manager Jiang. Young Miss Lu, here are the several items you won today, you can count them. Manager Jiang pushed a few boxes in front of Lu Mu Yen and said. Lu Mu Yen checked them once, and after noting that there weren't any problems, she handed the spiritual stones she prepared to Manager Jiang. I've troubled Manager Jiang today. Young Miss Lu is being too polite. It is this one's honor to serve young Mississippi. After being polite with Lu Mu Yen a little more, Manager Jiang suddenly said to Lu Mu Yen, as if having remembered something, Young Miss Lu, Great Master Wu once explained that the person who won the Sumeru light boat should drip blood to be recognized as the owner as soon as possible. Why? Lu Mu Yen asked in befuddlement. According to him, this flying magic tool had only just been refined, and there will be unexpected gains within a month of recognizing the owner by dripping blood. So young Miss Lu might as well give it a try. Manager Jiang said with a smile. Lu Mu Yan's gaze deepened, but she revealed a look of joy on her face. Thank you for reminding me, I'll try it when I get back to the inn. Then this one Jiang here wishes young Miss Lu good luck. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After Lu Mu Yen said goodbye to Manager Jiang, she went out of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance with Yi Qing Han and the others. As soon as she walked out of the door, she saw Luo Li and several others waiting for her. Lu Mu Yen, what are your plans for the time being? Luo Li stepped forward and smiled handsomely. Lu Mu Yen smiled warmly. We're going to stay in the central city and wait for the finals. That sounds like a good choice, and we're not going to go out anymore either. Come over when you have time and let's have a drink. Luo Li invited. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Sure. Si Nan and the others still had things to do, so they greeted her, then went their separate ways. After returning to the inn, Lu Mu Yen wasn't in a hurry to drip blood to be recognized as the owner. She took out that insidious earth-rank sword skill and the flying-type magic tool. When her eyes glanced towards the flying magic tool, her dark pupils grew deeper and darker. She picked up the magic tool and looked at it, then halted when looking at a place where complicated patterns were carved on the hull. A sneer appeared on her lips. This flying-type magic tool could be regarded as a fine product among top-quality Saint tools. It was basically flawless, but as she expected, there was a problem. At the same time, sitting in a secret basement in the central city was a pale man who looked around 30 years old. In front of him was a mirror made of spar, the same material as the crystal wall used by the 6 major sects to monitor the competition space. The situation of the auction was played in the mirror, and the image on the mirror disappeared when Lu Mu Yen returned to the inn. The reflection array set up in the competition space cannot map the image of the residential area of the central city. This was also to ensure the privacy of the sword masters. The man with a pale face and lips that were bewitchingly red walked to the ice bed one behind him. Lying on the ice bed was a beautiful woman in white. Her face was paler than the man's and bloodless. Her aura was faint, and she was like a dead person. If other people at the auction were here, they would be a little surprised, because the woman lying on the ice bed actually looked a bit similar to Lu Muyen. Ling Qiu, I've finally found someone who has the same bloodline relationship as you, with a soul that is a good fit for your soul. The man reached out and stroked the woman's face with gentle eyes. As long as you devour her soul and refine it, we will be able to reunite again. He held the woman's cold hand and placed it on his lips with his eyes closed. Then he furrowed his brows and muttered to himself, "Why hasn't she dropped her blood to be recognized as owner yet after so long?" If the usual sword master heard the words that he told the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to tell, then they would have long felt impatient and dripped blood to be recognized as owner. That little girl sure could remain calm. He sighed and continued to pour out his heart to the sleeping woman. "You have been sleeping for 100 years. Who would understand my loneliness? No matter what means I use, I must wake you up." It would be troublesome if the girl named Lu Muyen didn't drip blood to have the flying magic tool recognize her as owner. He divined that the person who would win the flying-type magic tool would be a junior who had a certain connection with his beloved wife and would also be the person he was looking for. He originally thought that hiding a soul-refining array in that flying magic tool would be enough to directly arrest the soul of the junior here, but he didn't expect that she was still calm until now to not have dripped blood to be recognized as owner. There was a haze and determination in his eyes. If Lu Muyen still had not yet dripped blood, then he could only secretly break the rules of the competition space and go catch her in person. Fortunately, he was currently one of the judges representing the smithing pavilion for this tournament for hegemony, otherwise it would have been more difficult to act. He just hoped that Lu Muyen would just drip the blood herself as soon as possible to save him from risking himself to act. Meanwhile, Lu Muyen, who he was hoping would fall into his trap, didn't pay attention to the flying magic tool at all, but instead put all her energy into the earth rank sword skill that was known to be insidious. So the ice bed is apparently made from something, but don't know what it is because it was censored too low. Maybe 1,000-year-old profound ice or something, who knows. Chapter 280, Ghost Spirit Mystic Cultivator. Lu Muyen took the earth rank sword skill and flipped it back and forth, then pondered. "Owner, this book gives me a bad feeling." Bing Ji was lost in thought as he looked at the sword skill with dislike. Lu Muyen raised her eyes. "What's the bad feeling?" "This sword skill makes people feel extremely cold with just a few glances, as if a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity to bite my neck." Bing Ji shrank his neck. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows slightly, then took Meow Meow from her wrist. "Meow Meow, do you feel this way?" "Owner, although I don't feel this way, but this book gives me a sinister and evil feeling. I don't like it." Meow Meow resolutely wrapped around Lu Muyen's wrist again, staying far away from the book. "Owner, I also hate the aura in this book." Shue Shue said. Lu Muyen probed into the spirit beast ring with her mental energy and found that Mo Yen was still sleeping. Her brows were knitted deeply, and she reached out to open the sword skill. The words in the sword skill weren't written in the common language of this continent, but it was a kind of silver scorpion language, which she had learnt in the immortal cultivation world. Placing her mind into the words of the book and interpreting it little by little, she gradually became enchanted. Time flew fast, and a day went by in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, a faint black aura emerged from the book in Lu Muyen's hand and penetrated into her nose. Slowly, Lu Muyen's eyes were half closed, as if she was about to fall asleep. And her eyes began to grow jaded, as if she were being controlled by something. Bing Ji was shocked when he saw this and urgently shouted, "Owner, owner!" Meow Meow and Shue Shue tugged Lu Muyen's arm at the same time and shouted "owner" together, wanting to awaken her consciousness. But no matter what method they tried, they couldn't awaken Lu Muyen. Bing Ji's eyes revealed some ruthlessness, then he stretched out his claws, wanting to grab the sword skill in Lu Muyen's hand and throw it away. It must be this insidious sword skill that made owner lose her consciousness. But before his claws even touched the sword skill, he was entangled in a wisp of black aura that suddenly emerged from the book, and he was unable to get rid of it no matter what. The three demonic beasts couldn't cut the black aura with their demonic energy either, and they couldn't help but feel anxious. Then, The wisps of black aura continued to climb along Lu Mu Yan's hand. When it was right about to enter through her temples, Lu Mu Yan, who was originally jaded, suddenly opened her eyes, with sharpness in her gaze. She recited a few spells, and with a little tap, a jade-colored rune belt instantly bound the black aura. Then she turned the palm of her hand, and a cluster of purple cold flames emerged. She lightly yelled, "Go!" The purple gold spirit flame then turned into a small fire snake and slipped into that sword skill. In only a short while, the whole book was shrouded in darkness. Lu Mu Yan stretched out her hand and pulled, and the black aura that bound Bing Jie's feet were torn apart and disappeared. "Owner, are you all right?" Bing Ji looked at the sword skill that was already enveloped by a dense dark fog, no longer able to see what was within, with lingering fears. "What is this?" Lu Mu Yan shook her head. "I'm fine. You'll know what it is in a bit." There was a hint of coldness on her lips. She kept forming seals and inserting them into the sword skill. After doing everything, she closed her eyes and started to rest. After around a quarter of an hour, she opened her eyes and said to the book, "How does it feel to have your soul roasted? You still won't reveal your true form? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. As soon as her voice fell, a black mist emerged from the book, then turned into a dark figure whose face couldn't be seen clearly. "You've long discovered me?" The man's voice was very hoarse and concealed the suppressed pain from being burned by spirit flames. Lu Mu Yan stretched out an arm and leaned on a fist languidly. "I only discovered you when you performed your soul-disorienting skill on me." Of course, although she didn't feel the sinister aura like her 3 spirit pets did, but she could smell a faint bloody scent from the pages of the sword skill. So she placed her mental energy on the pages to investigate the content of the sword skill. What surprised her was that although this sword skill was only an earth rank sword skill, but the 10 sets of sword techniques within truly astonished her. While she read, she was slowly enchanted, but because of her initial vigilance, she also released a part of her mental energy for surveillance outside. Sure enough, when she was enchanted by it, a powerful foreign aura suddenly burst out and cast an advanced soul-disorienting skill on her. If it weren't that she had already recovered her mental energy and even advanced, she would have really capsized in the gutter this time. Gasp! The man took a deep breath as the purple gold spirit flame burned him. "What do you want?" He never imagined that a mere sword monarch would not only be able to discover his existence, but also have such powerful mental energy to resist his soul-disorienting skill, and also own a purple gold spirit flame that could restrain all evil things. "If I guessed correctly, you wanted to devour my divine soul just now, right?" Lu Mu Yan's voice was cold. The divine soul of a person was one's soul and mental energy. Once it was devoured by the opponent, one would become an idiot. At best, one would become like the former owner of the sword skill Sinan and the others mentioned, their cultivation base becoming stagnant and having no fate on the road to the strong. This man's actions really stepped on Lu Mu Yan's baseline. "Since you've seen through it, then this eminence has nothing to say." The man's voice was filled with unwillingness and despair. "Humph. If you have nothing to say, then go die." Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew cold, and the purple gold spirit flame instantly burst out of the pages and wrapped around the man. The man didn't expect the woman opposite to be so ruthless. His whole body was burned by the spirit flame as if it were about to melt. If this continued, he wouldn't even have the chance to snatch a body and reincarnate. Stop. The man said with a bit of pain. "This eminence will make a deal with you to ensure that not only will you not suffer, but you will also gain a lot." Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes, thought for a bit, then beckoned with her hands for the purple gold spirit flame to return. "Don't play any tricks, or I can kill you at any moment." This man had only 1/10 of their ghost spirit aura left, yet was still so powerful. In addition, he called himself this eminence, so his origin must be extraordinary. If it weren't for the purple gold spirit flame, she wouldn't be able to do anything about him either, and instead, she might even receive backlash. What kind of tricks can be played when this eminence is like this? The man laughed at himself. "Are you a mystic cultivator one?" Lu Mu Yan's tone was affirmative. The man was stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting Lu Mu Yen to see through his identity before his physical body was destroyed, but there was also nothing to hide. Yes. Tell me, what will you use to make a deal with me? She discovered that many people she met liked to make deals with her, but she was indeed a little interested in hearing about it. With a thought, the black mist surrounding the sword skill all entered his body, and strands of black energy quickly repaired his weakened soul that had been scorched earlier. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes. The aura this ghost spirit mystic cultivator exuded was currently so weak, and yet was still not weaker than that of a peak phase sword sovereign. When his body was not yet damaged, he was probably so powerful that countless high-level sword masters would even have to look up to him. You must know of the land of inheritance. Only after the man's soul was automatically repaired did he speak slowly. Lu Mu Yan's eyes sharpened. The deal you want to discuss with me is about the land of inheritance? One might change this translation of mystic cultivator up later, or stick with it. I'm not sure. I even considered fiend cultivator, but it sounded too evil. The thing is, I translated to demonic beast, to devil cultivator and to demon cultivator. Now, suddenly appears. And are pretty similar in meaning and generally translates to demons. They are also in the idiom, demons and ghosts. At the same time, I wanted to differentiate them all, so I might use mystic cultivator, because this is the same mystic I used when translating the species of demonic beasts before, like mystic striped tiger. Also, has a less of an evil connotation compared to the other words, if that makes sense. Mainly because this is the same word used in, which is magic, like magic used in Harry Potter and all. There are slightly different connotations in the words. An literally translates to evil and I feel is the most evil word out of these three words. Then, which is more monster-related, but also demons, while because has the association to magic, it's the least sinister per se, but it's also associated with, which is demon king, so it's a very ambiguous character. There's a lot of history to the words, I'm sure, and I just gave a very simplified explanation with potential errors XD. Chapter 281. The final begins. Lu Mu Yen guessed that this ghost spirit should have been attached to the sword skill in the land of inheritance. She was more and more interested in the deal he mentioned now. The man's voice in the black mist was still hoarse and low. This eminence can open a great hall in the land of inheritance. There are not only manuals in there, but also magic tools, pills, and such left by that man. You're not going to tell me that the owner of that hall is you, will you? Naturally not. When this eminence's physical body was destroyed, and my soul shattered and fled, this stray soul was dragged into a spatial storm, and that was how it inexplicably entered the land of inheritance. He felt that the woman across from him was young, but definitely experienced, so she would easily discover if he lied. Since he wanted to make a deal, then as long as it didn't involve his own secrets, he had nothing to hide. Lu Mu Yen nodded with a thoughtful gaze and asked, "Are all your 10 wisps of split souls still alive?" The man was hidden in the black mist, so his face couldn't be seen, but his stiffened body still revealed his shock. "How do you know this eminence has 10 split souls?" His voice was cold. "Naturally, I felt it from your current soul's weakened degree. This is one of my secret skills." Lu Mu Yan's meaning was very clear. "I won't tell you my secret skill." She only said aloud the situation with the man's split souls to make him fear her, and it would be more beneficial for when they negotiated. The man secretly sighed in relief. It was the first time he met this woman, so it was impossible for her to see through his identity, let alone in this small interface. This eminence has been wandering in that palace for a century, and it has been marked with my soul imprint, so that place can be accessed freely by me. The man paused, then said, "Then how can you be sure that I can enter the land of inheritance?" Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. "The purpose of you participating in the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony should be to join the 6 major sects, right?" The man asked instead. "Yes. The land of inheritance is about to open. As long as you enter the 6 major sects, you will have a chance to obtain a place to enter. With your ability, this eminence believes it isn't difficult." This woman's cultivation base wasn't high, but she was just so damned shrewd. Lu Muyen took out some spiritual tea and slowly brewed it. Not long after, a serene tea fragrance wafted out, and the man's gaze dimmed. "What do you want in exchange?" Lu Muyen asked while holding the teacup. "Help this eminence strengthen this wisp of split soul." The man responded. Lu Muyen stared at the clear and fragrant tea in the cup, then said after a while, "Sure. Let's establish a partner relationship first, then we can discuss further trades after we can trust each other." The identity of this man when he was alive was definitely not simple, and was also quite mysterious. It aroused her interest, so it was all right to play with him a little. "All right," the man said without hesitation. If this woman could be trusted, then they could indeed cooperate on a lot more things. With a thought, Lu Muyen took out a 1,000-year-old icebox. After opening it, she could detect the man's scorching gaze. "You actually have the soul-nourishing wood, that sort of divine item." The man couldn't resist but exclaim. Lu Muyen ignored him, and with a sweep of her hand, a golden knife was held in her hand. She chopped off a section of the soul-nourishing wood and quickly carved it up with the knife. Not long after, a wooden pendant took shape in her hands. She then took out a few spiritual stones and arranged a spirit-nourishing array, sealed it in the pendant, then hung it round her neck with a red thread. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. She originally wanted to make a bracelet to wear on her hand, but the bracelet Shui transformed into already took that place, so she could only carve it into a pendant. You can stay in this soul-nourishing wood pendant to recuperate. I've set up a spirit-nourishing array which can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and cooperate with the soul-nourishing wood to nourish your soul. Lu Muyen raised her eyes and looked at the man, saying slowly, "This piece of soul-nourishing wood that was originally dead was brought back to life by the green mist spiritual energy in her body, and it even grew fresh shoots. Therefore, the carved ornaments had the effect of normal soul-nourishing wood. All right, then this eminence won't be polite." After he finished speaking, the man turned into a wisp of black aura and entered the pendant on Lu Muyen's neck. With his means and vision, he could naturally tell that Lu Muyen didn't do anything suspicious to the array and soul-nourishing wood. "Since we're in a partner relationship, then don't call yourself this eminence in front of me in the future," Lu Muyen said after cleaning up the sawdust on the ground. The man sighed. "All right. The soul-nourishing wood is a divine rank spiritual item. If I hang it around my neck, then some powerhouses might see through it. With your abilities, you should be able to camouflage it, right?" She would definitely not be soft-hearted and do anything herself if she could enslave others to do it. "I can." After the man finished speaking, a trace of black aura emerged from the pendant to wrap around it. In a moment, the color of the pendant became much lighter, and the aura of the soul-nourishing wood on it disappeared completely. Even Lu Muyen couldn't discover it. This also made her more certain of this man's extraordinary origin. Maybe it would be risky to take in this man whose physical body was destroyed, but she liked challenges. After the two reached an agreement, the man began to cultivate while hiding in the pendant. The next morning, a very pleasant bell rang through the central city. Lu Muyen opened her eyes and a smile appeared on her lips. The semi-finals is over. She took out her identity jade tablet, and there was indeed a notice to gather in the central square. It was almost time, so she went to the central square with Yi Qinghan and the others. The person who appeared in the sky this time was an elderly man with a thin face. As soon as he appeared, the surrounding air became turbulent. Even if he restrained the aura on him, but the pressure of a powerhouse was still subconsciously revealed. The originally noisy central square instantly quieted down, waiting for the sword venerable powerhouse above to speak. "I announce that the semi-finals of the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony is officially over, and we will now enter the finals." The elderly man's words were very concise. The top 500 ranked in the standings in the semi-finals will enter the finals. The finals will no longer adopt the point system. The specific rules will be sent to your new Identity Jade tablets through an array. Now, take a look at the rankings on your Identity Jade tablets. Those outside of the top 500, stand on the left to wait to be teleported out of the competition space. The 500 people who entered the finals, stand to the right and wait for your new unified identity jade tablet to be distributed. Soon, 2 groups of people formed in the central square. Not long after, several people in uniformed clothes took back the jade tablets of Lu Mu Yen and the others, then distributed new jade tablets uniformly. The jade tablets of all 500 people were red. Your jade tablets are now uniformly red regardless of the size of your kingdom. If you want to advance to the top 100, the color of the jade tablet in your hands must at least be cyan. If you want to be promoted into the top 10, then your identity jade tablet must rise to purple. The elderly man swept the 500 people that entered the finals with his gaze once. This old man will not say more about the specific rules. After you return, open your identity jade tablets to check in detail. Finally, I wish you all good results. After he finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared in mid-air, acting very capable and experienced. Lu Mu Yen held the new identity jade tablet in her hand with a look of anticipation in her eyes. Chapter 282, Eve of the Storm. When the rules of the finals came out, Lu Mu Yen was sitting in the Stream Reflection restaurant with Luo Li and the others for food. Xinan drank the spiritual wine that the Stream Reflection restaurant brewed and said with admiration, "The Stream Reflection restaurant is indeed worthy to be famous for its wine. This limited spiritual wine indeed tastes good." "This sort of spiritual wine is good?" Luo Li sneered in disapproval. Xinan's mouth was very picky, but this spiritual wine was already tasted really good for him. "You say you don't like this spiritual wine, so why don't you take out a jug that's better?" "Lu Mu Yen, let's take out a jug of spiritual wine to drink." Luo Li blinked his eyes and said with a smile. Both Xinan and Helian Lai turned to look at Lu Mu Yen. If Luo Li could say such a thing, then she must have better spiritual wine. Lu Mu Yen looked at Luo Li in amusement. "If you want spiritual wine, just say it." With a thought, she took out 3 jugs of blood sack wine and placed it on the table. Xinan immediately took a new wine glass and poured himself a cup. The red wine exuded a mellow aroma, and he took a sip eagerly. "Good wine." He slapped the table, then looked at Lu Mu Yen and said excitedly, "Little beauty, you actually secretly possess blood sack wine and you didn't think to take it out sooner to share a bit." Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, then stretched out her hand. "You want to share? Sure. Give money." The corner of Xinan's lips twitched. "You really are a money grubber woman." "Lu Mu Yen, where did you get this wine?" "It's the best spiritual wine I've ever tasted." Helian Lai smacked his lips and asked with unsatisfaction. "I brewed it." Lu Mu Yen said with a cheeky smile, "These 3 jugs are gifted to you to drink. If you want more in the future, then buy them with spiritual stones, 300 spiritual stones for 1 jug. "Are you robbing people?" Xinan rolled his eyes. The Stream Reflection restaurant's spiritual wine, which could also improve cultivation base, was only sold for 100 to 200 spiritual stones a jug. This woman was the owner of specializing in robbing. Helian Lai said speechlessly, "Is robbing people becoming your hobby now?" "Humph, if someone else wanted it, I'd be selling it for 500 spiritual stones for a jug." Lu Mu Yen glanced at the 2 of them lightly. The Stream Reflection restaurant's spiritual wine can improve one's cultivation base, but it's not as good as my blood sack wine. You get what each of your cent pays for, take it or leave it. Xinan and Helian Lai drank another cup at the same time again and found that there was indeed a heat flow in their dantian. "Can our wine purify elemental energy?" Helian Lai couldn't help but exclaim after running the heat in his dantian for a macrocosmic orbit. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him. "No kidding. You guys sure are feigning innocence and disinterest after gaining benefits. If I go out to sell it with 500 spiritual stones for 1 jug, I'd not have a shortage of buyers." Helian Lai smiled bitterly and said, "It were we who had bad eyes." She was right. If this kind of spiritual wine was taken out, let alone 500 spiritual stones, even if it were 1,000 spiritual stones, there would probably be people who would buy it. Our focus seems to be wrong. Xinan's pretty face revealed a bit of gravity. "Lu Mu Yen, you, who can brew this kind of spiritual wine, should be a high-level spiritual wine master, right? Grade 3, I think. Lu Muyen thought about it and said a conservative number. You're just not human. Xinan took a deep breath, his androgynous face revealing a sense of powerlessness. How could Lu Muyen be so abnormally monstrous? Just what else could she not do? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen glared at him. You're not human. Can you still speak properly? Cough cough. What I mean is, you're not a normal person. Xinan coughed lightly to hide his embarrassment. He definitely couldn't offend this vengeful little ancestor, otherwise it'd be bad if she didn't go back with him to treat his concubine mother. Lu Muyen was too lazy to pay attention to him. Feeling the fluctuation of the identity jade tablet, she took it out for a look. Helian Lai and the others couldn't help but compare the difference between them and Lu Muyen inwardly. Why was it that the more they interacted with this woman, the more they felt attacked? But he still couldn't help but want to get closer to her. Perhaps this was the so-called personality charm. The 3 jugs of spiritual wine looked like a lot, but there were so many people present that with 2 or 3 cups a person, it was gone. Luo Li glared at Xinan, who was about to pour the 4th cup. If you want a drink, go buy it from Lu Muyen yourself. Then, he picked up the last jug of wine and quickly filled the cups of those who only had 2 glasses. Xinan's expression darkened. Luo Li just always liked to oppose him. The rules for the finals are out. Lu Muyen took her mind away from the identity jade tablet. The others also took out their identity jade tablets and scanned them. The final requires participants to travel from the central city to the fine bamboo mountain thousands of li away. Before entering the mountain, one must fight a great decisive war with the demon clan in this competition space. The color of the jade tablets of sword masters who successfully pass through the encirclement of the demon clan will be decided by how many demonic beasts are killed. Luo Li furrowed his brows and said, in the great decisive war with the demon clan, life and death is our own responsibility, and the death rate may be as high as 60% or more. Sword masters who are unwilling to take the risk can apply for withdrawal. Isn't this joking with our lives? Otherwise, what do you think? Xinan raised an eyebrow. The top 100 of the finals aren't that easy to enter. Sword masters who successfully pass the great decisive war need to rush to the top of the mountain quickly, and there'll be countless obstacles in between. The first 100 to reach the top of the mountain will be the top 100 in this competition and are eligible to join the 6 major sects. There's a hall on the top of the mountain with 10 gates in total. The 10 people who reach the top of the mountain first will enter. They will then randomly meet to clear the final battle, and the one who can pass the last gate will take first place in this continental tournament for hegemony, and so on. The second place will be the one who exits the second door. The rules of this competition sure are different from the previous competitions. Helian Lai said with an ugly expression. Luo Yi put away the jade tablet in his hand and said, every 100 years, the finals of the continental tournament for hegemony will have their rules changed because there will be a great decisive war every century between the humans and the demon clan. Ours happens to be the 100th year. Why do we have to have a great decisive war with the demon clan? Helian Lai asked. It's said that the numbers of the demon clan cannot exceed the number stipulated by the human almighties, otherwise if there are too many high-level demonic beasts, then this space will definitely become chaotic, and it will inevitably affect the future continental tournament for hegemonies. Luo Yi didn't conceal it either and revealed the secrets he knew. So that's how it is. But after the great decisive war, the 500 people that entered the finals will probably be cut by half. Xinan sneered. The organizers didn't take their lives seriously at all. Although they could understand the principle of natural selection and survival of the fittest, but they were still a little uncomfortable. The organizers will assist, and the number of people shouldn't be cut by half, but at least 100 people will inevitably die. Luo Yi's voice was a little cold. Lu Muyen pressed her lips together in thought. She suddenly remembered the Thunder Monarch she met at Sunset Cloud Mountain Range. That demon cultivator and her agreed to meet during the continental tournament for hegemony. Could it have something to do with the great decisive war between the humans and the demon clan? She just felt that there was some secret to this space. Maybe it could be solved when she met Thunder Monarch. At the same time, there was an independent hall in a place where thunder and lightning intertwined, and where thunderclouds spread all over the sky. At the top of the hall sat a stern-looking man wearing a crown in cyan clothes. He shook the wine glass, looked up outside the hall, and muttered to himself, "Finally going to come." Chapter 283. Act independently. Those present all read the rules of the finals, and although they knew that their lives might be in danger, but no one gave up. "Lu Mu Yen, let's continue the alliance," Luo Li suggested with a smile. He, Si Nan, and Helian Lai had already negotiated to continue to form an alliance, and now he also hoped that Lu Mu Yen would participate. Lu Mu Yen didn't answer immediately, but turned to look at Yi Qing Han and the others to ask, "What do you all think?" Her actions made Luo Li and Si Nan's eyes deepen. Lu Mu Yen was indeed different towards the man named Yi Qing Han. Yi Qing Han's eyes revealed tenderness. "You decide." Luo Li and Si Nan glanced at each other, and both saw the fearful look in each other's eyes, a great love rival. Lu Mu Bai and the others wouldn't raise any objections. "Yenner, you can make the decision." "Then let's form an alliance," Lu Mu Yen said after thinking a bit. This time, what they would face in the early stage was to fight against demonic beasts. Generally speaking, there weren't any clash of interests involved, and the advantages of an alliance were greater than the disadvantages. "Then it's settled." Luo Li smiled happily. "Let's rest tonight and leave tomorrow." "Should we rush to the city where we'll fight the demonic beasts in the great decisive war, or should we hide for a while to cultivate?" Helian Lai asked. The time for the finals and the great decisive war against the demonic beasts would begin 3 months later, and the organizers still gave them time to improve their cultivation base. "Little beauty, what do you think?" Si Nan looked at Lu Mu Yen frivolously and asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yen pondered for a bit and replied, "Let's go find a place near the city for the decisive battle to cultivate first, and we can also find out some intel along the way." She just constantly felt an indescribable feeling, as if something bad would happen to her. "Sure." Early the next morning, the group gathered at the gate of the central city and met Ji Xian, Yan Jun, and the others. "You've allied?" Yan Jun asked with a wicked smile on his face as he walked towards the group. "So what if we did? Didn't you also form an alliance with Mo Ling?" Luo Li looked at Yan Jun defensively. Yan Jun's beautiful peach blossom-shaped eyes blinked at Lu Mu Yen. "Young Miss Lu, you don't mind if we join your alliance too, right?" "Yan Jun, what's your purpose?" Si Nan furrowed his brows and looked at Hai, asking, "What did this damn devil want to do?" He didn't believe that Yan Jun's purpose was simply to form an alliance. He was obviously aiming for Lu Mu Yen. "What purpose can I have? The great decisive battle with the demonic beasts is naturally best faced with more people and strength. Our alliance means that we can minimize casualties." Yan Jun shrugged innocently. Many other elite teams have already formed alliances. "Sure, let's form an alliance," Lu Mu Yen said with an unconcerned, light smile. Yan Jun and Mo Ling may have some purpose, but it wouldn't affect the alliance. She had no idea what the great decisive war would bring, but the inexplicable heart palpitations of fear rose again. "Since we're all allied, why don't you add us in the group?" Ji Xian came up from behind with a gentle smile on his handsome face. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him and without hesitation, "Up to you. Young Miss Lu is a refreshing person." Ji Xian laughed aloud, and one could hear that he was very happy at this time. Luo Li and Si Nan weren't in such a good mood, however. Their expressions sank. There came 2 more love rivals now. Why did these thick-skinned people always like to approach Lu Mu Yen? While scolding others, these 2 obviously forgot that they also took the initiative to get close to Lu Mu Yen many times. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yi Qing Han sighed inwardly. His feelings for Lu Mu Yen were already too deep. Even if it bore no fruit between him and her, no matter who she chose in the end, he would still silently protect her. Of course, he would never give up what he should strive for. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would work hard. Qi Yixin no longer had any hope for himself. Lu Muyan's world was getting farther and farther away from him. The distance between them was as if it crossed the seas, unreachable. The group of people was very large, and they arrived at the human refuge city where the decisive war was to be fought. On the way, they also met a lot of elite team alliances, and their numbers were no less than them, but there weren't any conflicts between them. Well cultivate separately, then well gather in the city during the great decisive war with the demonic beasts. Lu Muyan's bad feeling grew stronger and stronger. She didn't want to be with the others, afraid that she would bring harm to them. Luo Li looked at her in surprise and asked, "You want to go out alone?" "I'm going to go find a spiritual herb." Lu Muyan kindly made an excuse. "Yenner, why don't we go with you?" Lu Mu Bai asked anxiously. Lu Muyan smiled slightly. "Big brother, it's inconvenient if you follow me. I'll be faster riding Bingji." "All right, you have to pay attention to your safety," Lu Mu Bai said with a sigh. Little sister had grown up, and with her abilities, she should be given freedom to fly. "Lu Muyan, I heard that the Crown Prince of Nanshuan gathered a group of people to snatch the Sumeru light boat from you. You have to be careful when you go out alone." Ji Xian reminded her before separating. Lu Muyan nodded with a smile. "Thank you for your reminder, I'll pay attention." Her heart palpitations of fear grew stronger and stronger, but she was certain that this feeling of danger definitely didn't come from the Crown Prince of Nanshuan. After leaving the city, Lu Muyan flew towards a forested mountain in the distance. After searching for a few days, she built a temporary wooden house beside a deep mountain hot spring. "Owner, I want to go out for a walk." Bing Jia's small eyes turned mischievously, and he rubbed against Lu Muyan's shoulder. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him. "I've been having a bad feeling recently, you should stay here." "Bad feeling? What's wrong?" Bing Ji was shocked. He rarely saw Lu Muyan reveal such a solemn tone. Lu Muyan shook her head. "Don't know. The danger should be coming soon, so don't relax either. Be more vigilant these days." "Owner, why don't you break my seal?" Bing Ji thought a bit, then said. He didn't want to break the seal for any selfish reasons. If even Lu Muyan was afraid of the danger, then he, who now had his demonic energy sealed, wouldn't be able to help even more. Lu Muyan paused and said, "All right, let me break your seal first." No matter whether it was the imminent danger that her sixth sense felt or the great decisive war soon, the recovery of Bing Jia's strength also added a guarantee to their overall safety. Lu Muyan recalled the method of breaking the seal that Ming Xiu had told her. Her hands constantly formed seals that entered Bing Jia's body. Then she stretched out her hand over the area with Bing Jia's crystal core and probed into it with spiritual energy little by little, eroding the seal on Bing Jia's crystal core. The seal from Ming Xiu was very profound. If he hadn't left Lu Muyan with the method to break it, Lu Muyan wouldn't be able to break the seal in a short amount of time. An hour later, the seal in Bing Jia's body was undone. He raised his head and let out a long cry, then turned into a beam of light and flew out. After the light dissipated, a handsome and elegant man walked out. The corner of Lu Muyan's lips twitched when she saw that elegant and scholarly smile. The image was simply too beautiful, she couldn't bear to look directly at it. Chapter 284. I've waited for you for a long time. After Bing Ji took on his human form, it was just too different from his temperament. Lu Muyan suddenly felt that it would be better for him to just turn into a bird. "Owner, how do I compare to that red-clothed male beauty?" Bing Ji destroyed his elegance in an instant the moment he opened his mouth. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him. "Ming Xiu is much more handsome than you." This was the truth. Ming Xiu had a noble temperament, and he occasionally had a devilish charm, though his attitude was very cold. Yet the contradictory combination made one feel that this should just be how he should be. As for his appearance, there was even less of a need to compare. The deep features of Ming Xiu were as if they were carved from a divine axe. His phoenix eyes were serene and deep, as if one would be sucked into them, and he was so handsome it was otherworldly. With his thin lips pressed together, he was like a peerless sword that was restrained in its scabbard, and when drawn, who could compare? She had met many handsome men when she came into the competition space, such as Luo Li's sunny handsomeness, Luo Ye's noble and etherealness, Si Nan's androgynous look, Helian Lai's romantic and suaveness, and although each had their own merits, but whether it was their overall temperament or their appearance alone, none could beat Ming Xiu. Owner, you really are in the eyes of the lover, her beloved is a beauty. Bing Ji rolled his eyes. Although Ming Xiu was indeed outstanding in temperament and incomparable in appearance, but he firmly refused to admit that he, himself, was worse than him. Lu Muyen glanced at Bing Ji. If you don't speak, no one will treat you as mute. Bing Ji pursed his mouth and mumbled, what's so good about that red-clothed handsome man? Speaking of Ming Xiu, Lu Muyen's eyes revealed a rare trace of warmth. She wondered how that guy was now. Lu Muyen was a little puzzled. If the person who saved her that day was Ming Xiu, then why wouldn't he truly appear in the competition space? Then she composed herself and took out the flying-type magic tool that she won. This flying-type magic tool gave her a more and more dangerous feeling. That palpitation of fear should originate from here. If she threw the magic tool away and changed her location, then she might be able to temporarily avoid the crisis, but she didn't want to sit still and wait. If something bad really happened, then it would become a bigger hidden danger in the future if she ignored it now. She didn't like to leave things half done, so since she couldn't escape it, then she'd just wait. Owner, you've been looking at this flying-type magic tool a lot recently. Is there any problem? Bing Ji came over and asked curiously. There's a soul arresting array in this flying magic tool. If I drip my blood to be recognized as owner, then my soul may be forcibly detained by the other party's spell. Lu Muyen didn't conceal it either. The several spirit pets and her had already laid their hearts bare to each other and could all be trusted. Hidden in the inconspicuous and intricate patterns of the Sumeru light boat was the soul arresting array. If it weren't for her advanced research in arrays, then she'd also be unable to find it. Bing Ji was startled. That smith is so vicious. Owner, then why don't you throw this flying magic tool away? Being able to manipulate the flying magic tool and sculpt a complex and difficult array like the soul arresting array, only that grade 5 smith could do it. So what if I throw it away? I have a feeling that he's precisely coming for me. Lu Muyen's eyes were solemn with a rare killing intent. Instead of sitting in fear and waiting for death, it's better to lure him out of his cave and think about how to eliminate this hidden danger. She didn't know if she had a feud with that great Master Wu or not, but since he dared to do something to her, he would have to pay the price of her revenge. She sure wanted to see what he wanted to do. That's true, if such a hidden danger isn't eliminated, then we can't rest peacefully on our pillows. A coldness flashed past Bing Ji's eyes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, he had never been a kind demon cultivator. He just usually covered up his murderous desire in his heart. If one wanted to scheme against his little owner, then they'd have to ask him whether he agreed or not. At the same time, a bloodless and unusually pale middle-aged man rushed towards Lu Muyen's location on a flying magic tool similar to the Sumeru light boat. That girl actually entered a Class 1 danger zone. But that was fine. In a danger zone, the image reflection array wouldn't be able to monitor anything, which was more convenient for him to act. The area where Lu Muyen was located was precisely the periphery of a Class 1 danger zone in the competition space. What Great Master Wu thought of was exactly what she was thinking. For some of her means and trump cards, she didn't want others to know. How could one obtain a tiger's cub without entering the tiger's den? She had always had a kind of madness in her bones, and she just liked to challenge difficult things. 2 days later, Lu Muyen sat in the wooden hut, drinking spiritual tea, holding the earth-rank sword skill in her hand, and quietly flipping through it. Suddenly, she looked up at the door, and her lips raised into a cold arc. Since your honor is here, why don't you come in and drink a cup of tea to quench your thirst? Bing Ji had turned into a 7-colored parrot, standing on Lu Muyen's shoulder. Hearing what she said, he couldn't help but look out the door vigilantly. The black mist in the pendant on Lu Muyen's neck suddenly dissipated, revealing the figure of a man in black, his face still unable to be seen clearly. He opened his eyes and probed out with his soul energy with interest. With a free play to watch, why not? He also wanted to use the situation to see whether this woman named Lu Muyen was worthy of further cooperation and transactions with him or not. After she finished speaking, she saw a man with a pale face and enchantingly red lips walk in. "You knew I was coming?" Great Master Wu stepped into the room lightly and sat down opposite Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen had a faint smile on her face, but there wasn't much warmth in her eyes. She reached out and poured a cup of tea for the person opposite. "I've been waiting for you for a long time, aren't you a bit too slow?" Great Master Wu's eyes narrowed, and after a while, he laughed aloud. "You, girl, really are extraordinary. It seems that you have already seen through the problem on the Sumeru light boat. I also didn't expect that Great Master Wu, who is well known across Tianling continent, would actually use such despicable means like engraving a solar arresting array on the flying magic tool that was auctioned. You might not feel ashamed, but I sure feel disgusted for you." Lu Muyen smiled lightly and ridiculed, her words rather mean. What this Great Master Wu did was really disgusting, and she felt that she couldn't curse him enough. A bit of anger appeared on Great Master Wu's face and his expression changed a few times. Then he regained his composure, took a sip of the spiritual tea in front of him, and said slowly, "Good tea. It's a pity you can't drink it for long." He didn't expect Lu Muyen's attainments in arrays to be so high. If it weren't that only her soul could save his beloved wife, he wouldn't want to act against such a genius either. "Since we've already spoken this much, why don't you talk about your purpose?" Lu Muyen also wondered why Great Master Wu would want her life. She had never seen him before, and he didn't have any hatred for her in his expression. There also seemed to be a hint of helplessness in the killing intent. "Because only your divine soul can save my beloved wife." Great Master Wu reached out and refilled a cup of spiritual tea for himself. Lu Muyen and his beloved wife had a blood connection, so it was fine to let her die with understanding. Beloved wife? Why didn't I know that my divine soul had such use? Lu Muyen sneered and lowered her eyes, her long lashes concealing the look within them. Chapter 285. Pretentious Great Master Wu didn't care about the coldness in Lu Muyen's tone, and instead, there was a hint of tolerance in his gaze. Lu Muyen felt the urge to beat him up when she saw his accommodating but determined expression to kill her. It's useless to talk too much. Do you have any last words? Great Master Wu sighed and looked directly at her and said, "I can bring you back to the Lu clan." After a pause, he added, "If your divine soul can awaken my beloved wife, I will protect the Lu clan for 10 years in exchange for you." He stared at Lu Muyen's face that was similar to Ling Qiu's, and he didn't want to use violent means to kill her. He only hoped that she would obediently sacrifice her divine soul. Lu Muyen chuckled, raised her eyes, and continued sarcastically, "I can protect the Lu clan myself. There's no need to bother your precious hands, Great Master Wu. As for who lives or dies today, there's no certainty yet, so why are you so anxious to promise? It's a good thing for young people to be confident, but being overly confident is arrogance." Great Master Wu shook his head with a hint of pity in his tone. Lu Muyen's brows furrowed. She stood up with a thum and leapt out of the wooden house. She shouted to Great Master Wu, who was sitting inside, "Whatever means you have, just use it. I hate people who's already a bitch but wants one to build a memorial for them won the most in my life, and you're definitely one of them." This man wanted her divine soul yet was so pretentious about it that she was extremely disgusted by it. She knew the difference was relatively large in effect between willingly giving away her divine soul and forcibly taking it. This person wanted her to voluntarily sacrifice her divine soul and made such a hypocritical gesture, but she looked down on him instead. After hearing her words, Great Master Wu's sickly expression, that originally had a look of pity, instantly turned grim, with a hint of scarlet in his eyes. He snorted coldly, "You fail to appreciate kindness." He said no more, and his sword venerable strength radiated out in an instant, pressing down on Lu Muyen wave after wave. The corners of Lu Muyen's lips evoked a touch of coldness. With a thought, 10 golden flying swords landed in front of her and formed an 8 trigrams force. After inserting a few Daoist seals, the golden flying swords emitted a dazzling light, blocking all the waves of pressure. Bingji also took the opportunity to turn into his original form. He opened his beak and a series of icicles erupted from his mouth, shooting directly at Great Master Wu. There was slight surprise in Great Master Wu's eyes. Obviously, he didn't expect that Lu Muyen would actually have hidden a spirit pet with the same strength as himself. He snorted coldly and 2 figures that looked exactly like himself emerged from his body. Even their auras seemed to carry the same sword venerable pressure. He moved his fingers and patted the back of the 2 figures. The 2 figures dashed out in an instant, surrounding Bingji to attack. Puppet skill. Lu Muyen was a little surprised. This great master Wu was not only a grade 5 smith, but also knew the puppet mechanism skill. It sure was beyond her expectations. You actually know the puppet skill? It truly is a pity to kill you. Great Master Wu shook his head lightly and sighed from the bottom of his heart. Lu Muyen actually knew about the puppet skill that was extinct on this continent. If it weren't that he needed her divine soul, he even wanted to accept her as a disciple. What's there to pity? Lu Muyen glanced at him as she kept forming seals with her hands, then she quickly retreated beside the hot spring. Piuchi! Suddenly, 4 walls of fire emerged from the ground and surrounded Great Master Wu. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I've long heard that this time's dark horse, Lu Muyen's array attainments are very accomplished. Seeing it today, it truly is extraordinary. Great Master Wu casually swept her array with his eyes. If this fire array was a grade higher, I really wouldn't be able to do anything. He chuckled lightly and a faint orange light suddenly emerged from his body. The flames in the array hurriedly retreated as if it saw their nemesis. With a snap of his fingers, a cluster of orange flames burst out, instantly engulfing all the surrounding walls of fire. The largest fortuitous opportunity you encountered in the competition space back then was this spirit flame, right? Lu Muyen's expression changed. This great Master Wu was a little tricky. No wonder the feelings of heart palpitations of fear kept rising in her heart. It seemed that there would be more dangers than fortune today, but even so, she didn't reveal the slightest timidity. Great Master Wu raised an eyebrow, as expected of Ling Qiu's bloodline, indeed exceptionally intelligent. Hearing the words Ling Qiu, Lu Muyen raised her head to ask with furrowed brows, "You want to give my divine soul to that person named Ling Qiu to devour and refine?" "That's right, if it weren't that except for you, I haven't found a suitable divine soul for 100 years, I wouldn't touch you today either." His tone was rather helpless. He wondered if Ling Qiu would blame him when she woke up and realized that she had devoured someone who was of the same bloodline as her. Immediately, a firm look appeared in his eyes again. Ling Qiu was his life. He couldn't be without her. And it didn't matter if he was to be blamed or slandered, as long as he could save her. I really didn't expect that the person who wanted to refine my divine soul was actually my maternal grandfather's blood-related elder sister. Lu Muyen's expression revealed even deeper mockery. "Don't give such a fake attitude. Do I have to thank you for your few words of pity?" It seemed that this great Master Wu didn't just start eyeing her now. People who were of the same bloodline and similar divine souls could indeed be devoured to achieve a certain effect. It was just that this skill had long been banned by the 6 major sects and several top forces on Tianling continent, and those who violated the order would be wanted and killed. Doesn't matter what you think. As long as I can save Ling Qiu, what does it matter even if I bear the curse of the entire continent? Great Master Wu said indifferently. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. "You indeed don't care about slander, but using the divine soul hex banned on this continent without authorization, if it were found out by the 6 major sects and the organizers, who knows if you'll still have the life to continue to live with Ling Qiu forever. So I'm also glad that the place you chose to wait for me was in a danger zone, which is also a blind spot of their surveillance." Great Master Wu's pale face revealed a rare hint of red. Seeing that his complexion began to grow normal, Lu Muyen was focused, and the hands she hid beneath her sleeve kept pinching seals. Do you really think that there's impermeable walls in this world too? Lu Muyan's hand were pinching the seals much faster. Great Master Wu's complexion gradually turned rosy, and the pressure on his body also gradually deepened. Little girl, how long do you want to delay this? Should I do it myself, or will you obediently go back with me and sacrifice your divine soul? I think that your identity is not just as simple as a grade 5 smith and an elder of the smithing pavilion, right? Lu Muyan narrowed her eyes when a faint cyan smoke rose from the center of his forehead. Great Master Wu looked at her meaningfully and said with a sullen face, "Those who are too intelligent won't live long." Immediately, he stretched out his hand and grabbed at Lu Muyan through the air. An invisible mighty force instantly enveloped her. Bing Ji shredded a black figure and wanted to rush in her direction to save her, yet who knew that with a simple toss from that great Master Wu, a wall of fire built from spirit flames erupted and isolated him. The remaining puppet figure also instantly became embroiled in a fight with him. Then the power turned into a pair of invisible hands and tightly choked Lu Muyan's neck, slowly trying to suck out her divine soul. A colloquial saying that basically means she hates hypocritical people. In a sense that they've done something bad, yet they want to have a good reputation. A saying that means that people will eventually know of what he did because not all walls can keep things, secrets, contained. Chapter 286. Beat you up together. The feeling of being strangled at the neck really wasn't pleasant. Then she felt a very light, but very domineering force enter down her neck, heading towards her divine soul guarded in her sea of consciousness. Her hands that were constantly pinching stopped, and her eyes gradually closed, as if she was powerless and had to give up. Great Master Wu naturally missed the fleeting ridicule in her eyes. Yen, let's start. Lu Muyan had her eyes closed, and the Taoist seals she was pinching formed a vortex in her dantian one after another. Yen, who was originally in a deep sleep in the spirit beast ring, opened his eyes instantly. His eyes were darker and brighter than ever before, and they were filled with coldness right now. All right. Lu Muyan breathed a sigh of relief when she heard his answer. The reason why she dared to take the risk to wait for this venerable sword master, Great Master Wu, to arrive was because she felt that Yen was about to awaken. She still attached great importance to her little life. She wouldn't really be arrogant and foolish to challenge a sword master who was 2 stages above herself and who had trump cards. With a thought, a cluster of purple gold flames instantly followed her meridians upwards and gently enveloped the domineering power. In only an instant, it was burnt completely. Great Master Wu, who originally had a carefree attitude, now revealed a bit of solemnity in his expression and let out a sound of confusion. You actually have the purple gold spirit flame in you. Great Master Wu exclaimed, his eyes wide and filled with fiery greed. Then he laughed a few times. I didn't expect that I would actually come across the spirit flame I've been searching many years for under such circumstances today. If I devour and refine the purple gold spirit flame within you, then the great thing I want to achieve has increased in chances. Lu Muyan ignored him and concentrated on peeling off the Taoist seal in her dantian. Great Master Wu waved his hand and a dazzling orange light instantly enveloped Lu Muyan, wanting to burn her whole body to death and devour the spirit flame inside. Lu Muyan slowly opened her eyes, and her black pupils were much darker, as if the night had sucked all the stars in. A cluster of purple gold flames covered her entire body. It formed a stalemate with the orange flames. White silk sash, often seen used as weapons by females. But sometimes men too. Seeing this, Great Master Wu sneered and shot a strip of white silk sash with the pressure of a high-quality Saint tool, attacking Lu Muyan. That white silk sash condensed his entire elemental energy, with magnificent momentum, breaking through the air. Lu Muyan quickly blocked with an 8 trigrams formed by golden swords, but she was still hit by the white sash, and she retreated dozens of meters. Pooh! Immediately, her chest felt a sweet sensation and a mouthful of blood spurted out. She raised her head and looked at Great Master Wu grimly. This man really wasn't a good thing, like a poisonous snake ready to bite her at any time. Great Master Wu's expression gradually became ugly. He didn't expect that after using so many methods, he still couldn't kill Lu Mu Yen. He really underestimated her before. Looking at the time of day, he realized that couldn't delay any longer. Go die. 3 green, silver needles suddenly appeared in his hand, and as soon as they were released, the 3 silver needles flew towards Lu Mu Yen. This was one of his trump cards, the dark green poison needles. Not only was it made from deep-sea silver essence, but the needle was also dyed with a kind of extreme poison that could harm and also disperse elemental energy. At the same time, it was also his classic work as a smith, which had already gone beyond the scope of a low-quality saint tool. Even a peak phase sword venerable strength sword master would be unable to withstand it. Lu Mu Yen felt a sense of crisis since the dark green silver needles flew towards her. She also recognized the refining material of the needles. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, however, there was no fear on her face. The blackness of her pupils gradually deepened, and if one looked closely, there even seemed to be clusters of black flames inside. Seeing that the dark green poison needles passed through Lu Mu Yan's purple gold spirit flame and was about to penetrate the middle of her brows, Great Master Wu's ruddy face turned pale again. He still couldn't use too much true elemental energy right now. Then a sudden change occurred, and his originally smiling face froze instantly. Suddenly, clusters of cyan flames carrying a dim light emerged from Lu Mu Yan's body. The purple gold spirit flame and his orange spirit flame instantly dimmed a lot. A black paw print appeared out of thin air and grabbed the dark green poison needles. The originally strong and powerful poisonous needles was blocked by the claws and couldn't penetrate Lu Mu Yan's brows no matter what. Roar! Then, a beast roar with the pressure of a king sounded in the air. Great Master Wu's face instantly paled. He opened his eyes and stretched out his hands, with slight trembling, screaming, "Netherworld flame, how is this possible?" While he was stunned, a white light burst out from Lu Mu Yan's wrist and charged straight towards him. At this time, Lu Mu Yan's stunning face revealed slight enchantment. Her lips curled up in an arc. She tapped her toes and flew up. A golden dagger appeared in her hand, and with a flash, she also leapt towards Great Master Wu. Great Master Wu instantly woke up. He quickly tossed out all the defensive-type magic tools on him, then actually turned around and flew away in the opposite direction. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, opened her little mouth, and spat out a cluster of cyan flames mixed with purple, which turned into a gorgeous lotus that quickly floated towards Great Master Wu. Great Master Wu was startled and accelerated his escape, yet who knew he would be blocked by a white figure. Taking a closer look, it was a huge, snow-white demonic beast. The cluster of bright red marks on his forehead that appeared like flames were lifelike. Spirit Devourer, how is this possible? Great Master Wu was forced to stop, filled with disbelief in his expressions, and mumbled, How can there be a Spirit Devourer on this interface? How can there be a Spirit Devourer on this interface? You can go to hell and ask King Yama. Lu Mu Yan's cold voice sounded behind him. As soon as he turned his head, he saw the enchanting fire lotus that had restrained its aura slowly floating over, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. He wanted to run away from the left side. Where are you running to? Bingji was not only a Tier 8 demonic beast, but was also a divine beast, so his strength was naturally not average. He had already destroyed the puppets and blocked Great Master Wu's path. Seeing this, Great Master Wu revealed a ruthlessness and decisiveness in his eyes. He turned around and dashed one in the only direction that wasn't surrounded. Yet who knew that the path was suddenly blocked by a huge golden demonic plant that emerged from the ground. He could only stabilize his body and stand in the center, his eyes filled with shock. He had no idea that a junior at the Sword Monarch level would have so many means. If it were just spirit pets, he wasn't afraid at all. He could still kill Lu Mu Yen even if he injured himself a little. But after all his calculations, he never thought that she would have a Spirit Devourer, and a Spirit Devourer with the Netherworld flame from a royal clan at that. And there was one thing in this world that was his nemesis, or rather, the nemesis of people like him, and that was the Netherworld flame. Go on, run. Why aren't you running anymore? Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow sinisterly and smiled with her arms folded. Great Master Wu knew that he had lost his greatest advantage today, and he smiled bitterly. He didn't expect to be that turtle caught in a jar too by a junior after living for so many years. What do you want to do? He asked with a cold face, his momentum unabated. I like gang fights the most now, so of course we want to beat you up together. Lu Mu Yen restrained her smiles and a sharp, incisive look revealed in her eyes. She wanted to madly beat up this bitch earlier. So before killing him, she wanted to beat him up first to extinguish the anger in her heart, then talk about the rest later. One based on context, there should be a description of how he fled, words like hastily, urgently, etc., but it was censored. Who knows what words were used there, huh? To an idiom that translates to catch a turtle in a jar, which means to go after easy prey, and also to say that they had set themselves up to be an easy target. In this case, the easy target is Great Master Wu. Serves him right. Chapter 287. Mo Yan's ability. When Great Master Wu heard Lu Mu Yan's words, he couldn't resist revealing a look of ridicule. You look too highly on yourself. What qualifications did a sword master at only sword monarch cultivation base have to speak so wildly in front of him? Lu Mu Yen hooked her lips and smiled. Then let's just wait and see. Then, her hands were covered with a faint purple-gold color. It wasn't just fire elemental energy now, but the power of pure purple-gold spirit flame to increase her Bodhi's power. She gave Mo Yen a look, then she quickly used flash steps and moved in front of Great Master Wu, bombarding him punch after punch. Great Master Wu was, after all, a sword venerable powerhouse, so he naturally very easily dodged her attacks, but he didn't expect that the spirit devourer behind him would suddenly spew an ethereal cyan flame towards him. Dodging too late, his face was instantly punched by Lu Mu Yen. His pale and bloodless face immediately became red and swollen, and he was furious. Just as he was about to retaliate, the netherworld flame struck again from behind. His expression changed and he barely dodged. Then, a white snake jumped out from Lu Mu Yan's wrist, opened her mouth, and sprayed mist towards the place where Great Master Wu was. The human-eating blood thorn vine king swung his main vine, that contained sharp thorns, upwards and continuously whipped against Great Master Wu. Under the powerful attack of the netherworld flame, he was accidentally scratched by the barb on the main vine. Following, the large ice luan spread his wings and flew high above his head, constantly spitting out icicles with great power and speed. He could only use all his elemental energy to avoid the attacks from all sides. Each time he dodged one side, he would always be forced to meet the other side by the netherworld flame. Lu Mu Yan's fist covered with purple-gold spirit flame obviously wasn't a vegetarian either. Each time, she would punch at Great Master Wu's weakest joints, then another punch against his face again, and a streak of fresh blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. At this moment, even the carefree Great Master Wu was in an extremely sorry state, and his movements grew slower and slower. He was startled. He was invulnerable to hundreds of poisons, and yet he was actually poisoned by both that white snake's venomous mist and the venom on the vine. His whole body gradually became stiff, and even if he used his elemental energy, he couldn't break free from the shackles of those toxins. His slow movements and delayed responses also allowed Lu Mu Yen and her few spirit pets to seize the opportunity to beat him up wildly. If there were other people present right now, their eyes would definitely pop out in shock. This was basically a one-sided beating and abuse, as violent as it could get. When the poison in Great Master Wu's body dissipated, he fell to the ground entirely, hugging his head in a sorry state, with exceptionally serious internal and external injuries. Lu Mu Yen, don't forget that I'm your grandaunt's husband. How will you explain to the Ling family how you've treated your senior after you return? Currently, Great Master Wu was surrounded by a dark cyan flame. He didn't dare to move too much, otherwise he would only be waiting for the consequence of his divine figure to be annihilated. Humph, for a grandaunt that wants to devour and refine my divine soul, It's already a good thing that I'm not killing her. Lu Mu Yen snorted coldly. My grand-aunt already disappeared 200 years ago, and you, the so-called husband, has never even appeared in the Ling clan, yet you still have the face to want to seek connections as relatives with me. Just watch how I beat you to death. After she finished speaking, she waved her fist, and it was another round of maniacal beating of Great Master Wu. Don't you want to know the whereabouts of your grand-aunt? Great Master Wu wanted to fight back but was restrained by the netherworld flames and was extremely helpless. Why do I want to know her whereabouts? A woman who became a dual cultivation partner with a ghost cultivator, and who stole the Ling clan's most valuable treasure and left the clan is also worthy of my attention. Lu Muyan mocked. She had never even met that so-called grandaunt, so how could she have any deep feelings for her? The disappearance of her eldest uncle, who was also Ling Fei Yang's father, also seemed to have something to do with that woman. In addition, she heard from Mother that the most valuable treasure of the Ling clan also disappeared after that grandaunt severed connections with the clan, leading to the Ling clan's gradual decline. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, so Ling Qiu didn't give her a good impression. You know him, a ghost cultivator? Great Master Wu, who originally had his head lowered, thinking about something, suddenly raised his head and stared at Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him, but the movements of her fists didn't stop. Although the aura on you is well hidden, but the cyan smoke that emerged from between your brows when you used elemental energy earlier revealed your identity. A ghost cultivator hiding among the human sword masters, and even joined the smithing pavilion, becoming a famous grade 5 smith on this continent. Your purpose mustn't be simple. Lu Mu Yen snorted coldly. Ghost cultivators needed countless fresh souls to be sacrificed to their skills, and many of their methods were vicious and cruel. They were the most wanted people by the 6 major sects and several top forces on Tianling continent. Because of Great Master Wu's identity as a smith, who knew what method he used to hide his identity as a ghost cultivator, plus him joining the smithing pavilion definitely involved unspeakable secrets. You sure are very meticulous for such a young age. Great Master Wu's eyes were grim and cold. As if he had made up his mind, he suddenly reached out and tapped somewhere on his body, spurting out a mouthful of blood essence. A bubble of blood mist wrapped around him, and an unpleasant scent of blood spread in an instant. A red light suddenly emerged from the red mist and fled towards the distant horizon. Mo Yan's eyes were filled with mockery. With a thought, the cluster of flames on his forehead detached automatically, and with a shoo, it caught up with the red light and trapped it. Not long after, there were several screams from the sky, and Great Master Wu was devoured by the netherworld flames before he could say any more. Mo Yen, you want to refine his soul? Lu Mu Yen felt the soul energy of Great Master Wu growing weaker and weaker. Why, do you want me to show mercy? Mo Yen raised his eyes and looked at her deeply. She shouldn't be such a soft-hearted person, right? Lu Mu Yen shook her head. You can go ahead and refine it, but can you obtain any useful information from his divine soul? I can. Mo Yen nodded. What the spirit devourer was best at was devouring and refining divine souls, and also stripping the other party of their memories. Then he'll rely on you. I want to know the purpose of him infiltrating the smithing pavilion and the whereabouts of that Ling Qiu. Lu Mu Yen poked Mo Yan's body and said. Mo Yen quickly avoided her devilish hands, his gaze slightly unnatural. HM? Mo Yen, I just realized that you've already advanced to Tier 7. Lu Mu Yen blinked and said. Mo Yen glanced at her. So what? He deliberately ignored the playfulness and curiosity in Lu Mu Yan's eyes. He knew precisely what she was thinking. Doesn't advancing to a Tier 7 demonic beast mean that you can transform into a human? Come on, give me a transformation. She was pretty curious about what Mo Yan's human transformation would look like. Mo Yen coughed lightly. Well, talk about it another time. Mo Yen, you're shy. Lu Mu Yen chuckled, then said teasingly. Mo Yen rolled his eyes at her. With a kick of his hind legs, he jumped into the air and opened his mouth to swallow the netherworld flame together with Great Master Wu's divine soul into his stomach. I'm going to refine and strip him of his memories. You can check if there's anything good in his interspatial ring. Mo Yen waved his paw, and a dark interspatial ring fell into Lu Mu Yan's hand. Lu Mu Yen took the ring, then made a sound of curiosity, and with great interest, probed her mental energy into the interspatial ring. Chapter 288. Information from the memories. The imprint on the interspatial ring was already erased by Mo Yen. After Lu Mu Yen probed her mental energy into the interspatial ring, she found that this ring refined by Great Master Wu was indeed extraordinary. Not only was the space inside more than 10 times larger than her current ring, but it was also divided into different sections. Among them, there was a space dedicated to placing spiritual herbs, and the surrounding area was actually made of 10,000-year ice, which could preserve the freshness of the spiritual herbs to the greatest extent. A separate large space was used for placing smithing materials, and there were countless precious smithing materials and many half-finished products and finished products. Lu Mu Yen swept the no less than 30 pieces of spirit treasures and saint tools, and her lips rose in an arc. After returning, she could improve the arming of magic tools of the Lu clan again. She roughly checked the contents of the ring and found that Great Master Wu was simply too rich. There were millions of low-quality spiritual stones, and there were even 20,000 middle-quality spiritual stones. When she was about to exit the space, she suddenly found an inconspicuous dark red token mixed in a pile of various miscellaneous things. With a thought, the red token fell into the palm of her hand. At this moment, Mo Yen just finished devouring and refining Great Master Wu's divine soul and opened his eyes. When he saw the thing in Lu Mu Yan's hand, his eyes deepened. This pure red token is the same as the pure gold token you obtained before. I also discovered that Great Master Wu deliberately put it in a pile of random things to hide it and camouflaged it. I almost didn't recognize it. Lu Mu Yen chuckled, pinched a few Taoist seals, then rubbed the dark and inconspicuous red token. A layer of things on the token shattered and disappeared. When the token was exposed again, the color was bright red, and a strong fire attribute element radiated out. It seems that there should be more than these two tokens. Lu Mu Yen said while playing with the token. Mo Yen nodded. There's an aura that doesn't belong to this interface. It should be an important, indispensable object to open a certain place. It appears, I guess, that there may be 5 different attributes of tokens like this. Didn't you find any information about the tokens in Great Master Wu's memory? Lu Mu Yen raised her eyes and asked. There is a mysterious seal in his body that hides the most secret of information. As long as his life is lost, the information will also disappear, so there's no information about it, including about why he snuck into the smithing pavilion and such. Mo Yen said lightly. Such a seal shouldn't have been applied by him, right? Lu Mu Yen asked with furrowed brows. Mo Yan's dark eyes were slightly grim. That seal is surrounded by a devilish aura. He may be a spy from another interface. When your cultivation base reaches sword venerable strength, you will naturally know many more things. Lu Mu Yen glanced at Mo Yen inexplicably. You think that there are some things that I shouldn't know? It's not good for you to know too much right now. You should concentrate on your cultivation and wait until you reach the sword venerable cultivation base, then I'll personally tell you some secrets. Mo Yen still didn't loosen his lips. Lu Mu Yen pondered for a bit, then no longer bothered about this issue. She would naturally know when she should know. Do you know about Ling Qiu? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Yen nodded and explained what happened from Great Master Wu's memory. 200 years ago, he and Ling Qiu came to this competition space to participate in the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony. His purpose at the time was to find a spirit flame, and participating in the competition was actually secondary. After finding and subduing the spirit flame, his internal organs were also burnt. When he was at his weakest, he encountered a sword master from a superpower kingdom who was also looking for the spirit flame and was almost killed. At his most hopeless moment, he was saved by Ling Qiu. The two of them participated in the subsequent competition together, and in the end, they gradually developed feelings and fell in love with each other. After Ling Qiu found out about his ghost cultivator identity, not only did she not leave him, but instead, she stole the Ling clan's most valuable treasure for him to cover up the aura on his body from being discovered by high-level powerhouses. It was also because of this valuable treasure that he could enter the smithing pavilion and become an elder. Ling Qiu also severed connections with the Ling clan because of this. 800 years ago, the two of them met a formidable enemy. Ling Qiu's divine soul was injured and scattered to save him. He used a secret skill to find the scattered original souls, but unfortunately, they were too weak and needed to devour and refine a sword master who had the same bloodline as Ling Qiu, and also a similar divine soul, to be able to awaken. He had been searching for 100 years, and this time, he brought Ling Qiu to the competition space to find a fortuitous encounter, but who knew that he discovered your existence in the first city. After watching the battle between you and the owner of that pure gold token, he set his sights on you. He not only wanted to take your divine soul, but also wanted to take that pure gold token. It was just a pity that man proposes, heaven disposes. He didn't expect that he would lose his life because of it. But it could be considered that he was deeply in love with your grandaunt, and he was still thinking about her even at his deathbed. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows tightly and pondered for a bit after listening to what Mo Yen said in one breath. Has Ling Qiu been involved in the matter of Great Master Wu's refining souls on the path of the ghost? Great Master Wu had been hiding his ghost cultivator's elemental energy. When he used the escape skill earlier, she felt that strong bloody scent. There was also a lot of soul energy mixed with it, which must have been the murdered souls of many sword masters. Mo Yen glanced at her, paused, then said, "Yes. And there are quite a few cultivators who died in Ling Qiu's hands. If not 1,000, at least a few hundred." Lu Mu Yan's expression sank. "By the way, did you find out about my eldest uncle from his memory? Your eldest uncle accidentally found out that he was a ghost cultivator. He originally planned to kill, but was stopped by Ling Qiu. They threw your eldest uncle into the Black Mist Canyon, one of the 10 treacherous zones on this continent, to fend for himself." Lu Mu Yen sneered. "What's the difference between that and killing him? That woman really isn't a good thing. Not only did she steal the clan's most valuable treasure and betray the clan, causing the Ling clan to fall into ruin, but she also attacked her relatives. She truly is hateful. Where is she?" After a while, Lu Mu Yen asked Mo Yen with a grim expression. "In a basement in the central city." Mo Yen rarely saw her so grim and sighed. "Why be angry with such a person? You want to kill her completely? Eldest uncle used to be very kind to me. I didn't expect him to have been killed by that woman. Can I not be angry?" Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. "It's boring to just kill her. I'll hand her to Ling Fei Yang to bring her back to the Ling clan and let them handle her." That's fine. But the Ling clan's valuable treasure has already been melted and refined by him. Now it's been turned to ashes by my netherworld flame with his body." Mo Yen said. "His netherworld flame killed all kinds of evil spirits and ghosts. The ghost cultivator insidious skill in Great Master Wu had already infected the treasure with a devilish energy. Even if it were still intact, it couldn't be used anymore, so he burnt it together. It doesn't matter if it's turned into ashes." Lu Mu Yen didn't care about that so-called valuable treasure. "Here, I'll give you something good." After Mo Yen finished speaking, he spit out a cluster of orange flames from his mouth. "After you refine this spirit flame, the purple gold spirit flame should be able to mutate and upgrade." Chapter 289. Spirit Flame Upgrade. Lu Mu Yan's eyes lit up. She had been thinking about this cluster of spirit flames earlier, but she didn't accept it immediately. Does your netherworld flame need spirit flames to evolve? If you need it, you can refine it first. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes were stained with a small smile. This spirit flame isn't very useful to the netherworld flame. Hurry up and go refine it. Lu Mu Yen being able to restrain the longing in her heart and give up the spirit flame to Mo Yen made his long-frozen heart melt a little more. "You really don't need it? You're not lying to me, are you?" Lu Mu Yen looked at Mo Yen seriously. If Mo Yan's netherworld flame needed it, she would definitely never snatch it from him. Mo Yen smiled without a good attitude and said, I really don't need it. This level of spirit flame is completely useless to my natal flame. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. So it seemed that he disliked that this spirit flame's level was low. Sure, it doesn't enter your eyes, but I'm greedy for it, so I won't be polite. This spirit flame does have the effect of mutating and upgrading her purple gold spirit flame. After she finished speaking, with a wave of her sleeves, she collected the spirit flame and ran into the wooden hut to start refining. Mo Yen watched her leave with a rare warmth in his eyes. 10 days later, a stream of spiritual force of heaven and earth flowed continuously into the wooden hut. Although it didn't form spiritual clouds, but there was a rather considerable amount. I wonder if owner will successfully advance to Sword Sovereign this time or not. Bing Ji transformed into his human form and rubbed his chin with a look of anticipation in his eyes. Mo Yen laid lazily on a piece of white animal skin to bask in the sun. She won't. Advancing too fast will cause the foundation to be unstable. She won't do such a thing. That's true. Meow Meow's advancement is also too fast. Will her foundation also be unstable? Bing Ji asked with slight worry. Mo Yen raised his eyes and glanced at him with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. It won't. Demonic beasts are different to humans. What's more, Meow Meow has the golden dragon bloodline, so there's no such thing as unstable foundation beneath Tier 9. This time, not only was Lu Mu Yen cultivating in seclusion, but Meow Meow and Xue Xue also felt the bottleneck of advancement break at practically the same time, so the two demonic beasts also found a place to advance. Inside the wooden hut, Lu Mu Yen refining the cluster of orange spirit flames wasn't as easy as she imagined. Although the orange blaze spirit flame wasn't as high level as the purple gold spirit flame, but it also understood danger and wouldn't allow itself to be swallowed by the purple gold spirit flame willingly. While Lu Mu Yen suppressed the orange blaze's resistance and let the purple gold spirit flame devour it smoothly, she also had to endure the pain of burning meridians of her whole body from the spirit flame. After another 10 days, she changed her sweaty clothes and with a refreshing flip of her palm, a cluster of two-colored spirit flames emerged. Then she didn't stop, but used the energy of refining the spirit flame to advance her cultivation base. Spiritual force gathered around and all surged into the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yen transformed the spiritual force into spiritual energy and used the green mist in her dantian to purify it again and again. When the spiritual energy was pure to its limit, she also successfully advanced from middle phase Sword Monarch to advanced phase Sword Monarch. This sort of speed was actually already amazing, and as long as she wanted to, with a little spiritual force gathering array, she could directly advance to peak phase Sword Monarch. But she didn't do so. Mo Yen was rather correct. It wasn't always better to advance one's cultivation base as fast as possible. She liked to lay a solid foundation, and the purer her spiritual energy was, the better it would be for her to condense her golden core in the near future. After the advancement was completed, she didn't leave the wooden hut, but instead took out that set of Earth rank sword skill to research, and some of its ingenious uses benefited her a lot. Although she was an almighty from the spiritual realm, but she didn't reach for what was beyond her grasp. There were also many things in this world that she should learn and accept with an open mind. A month later, Meow Meow advanced into Tier 7 and Xue Xue also broke through to middle phase Tier 7. Meow Meow could now transform into a human form, which made Xue Xue jealous for a long time. Demonic plants must reach Tier 8 to be able to transform into a human form. All of Lu Mu Yan's spirit pets, aside from Xue Xue, could now transform, only that Mo Yen had never transformed before. Owner, let's go into the mountains to play. Because Meow Meow advanced too quickly, she now looked like a little girl of about 3 or 4 years old after her transformation. Lu Mu Yen squeezed her fleshy pink face and said with a smile, "This is a Class 1 danger zone. Even if Tier 8 demonic beasts entered, they may not survive. You better stop dreaming." Meow Meow and Bing Ji were a bit similar in one aspect. They liked to play very much and simply couldn't sit still. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, then that's fine. Meow Meow sighed. and in another month we'll be leaving. You and Xue should hurry up and consolidate your cultivation base. Lu Mu Yen stroked her nose and said, "All right." With 3 days left before the Great War, Lu Mu Yen walked out of the wooden hut and flew out of this area. Because demonic beasts were also preparing for the battle, so although they were in a Class 1 danger zone, but they hadn't encountered many powerful demonic beasts. When Lu Mu Yen returned to the border city, Lu Mu Bai and the others were all a little anxious, and only when they saw her return safely were they relieved. After chatting with the others and catching up, Lu Mu Yen called Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang to talk privately in one of the inn's rooms. "Yenner, did something happen?" Lu Mu Bai asked worriedly, seeing her solemn expression. Ling Fei Yang looked up at her intently. He just felt that what she was going to say today had something to do with him. "After I left individually before, I met that great Master Wu who refined the Sumru light boat. It turned out that he was..." Lu Mu Yen briefly talked about the encounter with Great Master Wu and Ling Qiu, but she didn't reveal Mo Yen. Instead she told them that the news was what she interrogated from Great Master Wu himself. It wasn't that she couldn't trust Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang, but the more they knew, the less safe they were. Bang! Ling Fei Yang's expression was exceptionally grim, and the teacup in his hand was crushed by him. Lu Mu Yen sighed and comforted, "Elder cousin brother, maybe eldest uncle didn't die in the Black Mist Canyon. After all, the soul tablet left in the Ling clan hasn't completely broken." All direct line and elite pupils of each clan basically had a soul tablet representing their life. If their soul tablet was broken completely, then it meant that the person was already dead. But father's soul tablet is filled with cracks. Even if he's not dead now, he must be in extreme danger. Ling Fei Yang revealed slight pain. "I didn't expect that the person who harmed father would be his direct aunt. That woman must been possessed to be so ungrateful simply for a man." Lu Mu Bei's expression was also very ugly. Ling Qiu's talent was even better than their maternal grandfather, and so she was raised by the clan with importance. But who knew that ultimately, they fed a white-eyed wolf one? She's in this competition space? Ling Fei Yang restrained his emotions, but the coldness in his eyes didn't dissipate. Lu Mu Yen nodded. After the finals, they'll take you both to her. If she can be saved without devouring and refining a divine soul, then I'll try my best to wake her up." Speaking of refining divine souls, Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang's expression condensed some killing intent. Lu Mu Yen was almost killed by her too. Why does Mu Yen want to save her? Is she worthy? Ling Fei Yang furrowed her brows, a look of disgust in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen curled her lips, narrowed her eyes, and said, "Don't you think it's too cheap for her to die just like this? Maybe she might know some news about Uncle. As long as eldest uncle's soul tablet hasn't completely broken, there's still hope, no? Plus, that woman might also know some background information of that great Master Wu." Ling Fei Yang also had a glimmer of hope in his heart when he heard her say this. Yes. Maybe she has news of father. It's really too easy on her to just let her die like this. After discussing a little more, they cultivated in the city and waited for the great decisive war. Dong dong dong. 3 days later, a melodious bell rang. Lu Mu Yen stood up and quickly leapt towards the direction of the city wall, and countless figures in the entire city also ran in that direction. The time had come for the great decisive war with the demonic beasts in the finals. One and ingrate. Chapter 290. The Great Decisive War begins when Lu Mu Yen reached the city wall. Everyone else had already arrived and the wide city wall was filled with human sword masters. Roar, roar. Immediately, countless deafening beast roars resounded and a mass of beast figures on the plain opposite approached little by little. After a while, the bottom of the city was filled with demonic beasts of tier 5 and 6, and dozens of human figures were hovering in the air, with extraordinary momentum. Lu Mu Yen felt 2 gazes locked onto her tightly, and when she looked up, she saw the man in white with blue patterns on his face that she met in the mountain last time, and a skeletal man with strong killing intent. She realized that the skeletal man's face was a little familiar, and after recalling a little, she remembered Shiji. This demon cultivator must be related to Shiji, and this time, he must want to seek revenge for her. Her gaze turned cold, and she smiled provocatively at the two demon cultivators, making the two demons eager to rush over and tear her apart. Human sword masters. According to the century-old agreement, this is the time for our two clans to fight a decisive battle. According to the traditional rules, we will fight one-on-one, then we will battle in a melee at the end. A cyan-bearded elderly man walked out among the demon cultivators. The pressure from him was restrained, but one could still judge from his aura that he was the strongest existence among the demon cultivators here, a Tier 8 demonic beast. The other party actually has a late-phase Tier 8 demonic beast. We're in trouble here. Nen furrowed his brows. The strongest among them was only advanced phase Sword Sovereign. Although they had the ability to skip stage battle, but there was still a large gap compared to a late-stage Tier 8 demonic beast that was equivalent to the strength of a Sword Venerable. Luo Yi exuded a noble aura, and his sturdy figure was wrapped in silver brocade clothes which made him appear more elegant. We can only try together. He could fight demonic beasts at initial phase Tier 8, but if he fought against a late phase Tier 8, then he would undoubtedly lose. When Yan Jun saw Lu Muyan's expression without the slightest worry, but instead, filled with fighting spirit, he chuckled, "Young Miss Lu seems to be looking forward to this battle very much. Aren't you worried about the late phase Tier 8 demon cultivator?" Lu Muyan glanced at him and smiled, "If the sky falls, don't we still have you tall people holding it up one? The late phase Tier 8 demonic beast leader opposite naturally would need you elite sword masters from superpower kingdoms to handle." The several people couldn't resist twitching their lips when they heard her words. So it appeared that she had never even thought about how to deal with that late phase Tier 8 demonic beast. Lu Muyan's true thoughts naturally wouldn't be told to them. She actually really wanted to try the strength of a late phase Tier 8 demonic beast. With the mutated and upgraded spiritual flame, she had a little more confidence in herself. Alright, let's arrange 10 people to battle 10 demons first. A mature-looking human male sword master said. Who is he? Lu Muyan hadn't noticed this man before. He's Xiao Junyao, the crown prince of southern Liang Kingdom, and also the strongest person among the human sword masters. Ji Xian said. Lu Muyan turned her gaze towards Xiao Junyao, an advanced phase sword sovereign with a clean, delicate appearance, and a scholarly and gentle taste in his demeanor. This man's clean and scholarly appearance was a kind of charm from deep within his bones and was definitely different from the scholarly feel of Bingji. Then the man jumped up to the top of the city wall with a gentle smile on his face. This one is Xiao Junyao, entrusted by the organizers to temporarily preside over the great decisive war between the sword masters and demonic beasts in this competition. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, everyone knows that the great decisive war between us and the demonic beasts is agreed to be 3 days. After 3 days, the demonic beasts must not stop us from forcibly breaking through this plain and rushing to the mountain opposite to compete for the ranking in the finals. The old rule was to fight one-on-one first, and the duration of the melee would be determined by the number of wins and losses. If we win a battle, the time will be shortened by 1 hour. If we win 10 battles in a row, it can be shortened by 10 hours. There will be no less than 30 one-on-one battles in turn. I hope everyone will work together to overcome the difficulties. 10 people will participate in the first round, and the opponent's 10 demon cultivators have the right to choose first. That is to say, they can choose 10 among the humans and we cannot interfere. Xiao Junyao was the strongest, which meant that he was naturally the last to go up, and he swept his eyes warmly at the people below. By the way, a reminder. One-on-one battles do not allow other humans or demon cultivators to intervene. Life and death are up to one's fate. Of course, if the opponent points to one of us, but the gap in cultivation base and strength is too great, you can also refuse, and the opponent will reselect the person to fight. Xiao Junyao added. Then isn't that not fair? Why can they choose our people to fight first? One of the sword masters said, unreconciled. Xiao Junyao wasn't angered by his questioning and explained with a smile, I was about to explain this. Because the treaty between the two parties has a 3-day time limit for demonic beasts, so they can choose the human sword master to fight first. Starting from the second round, the results of the first round will determine which side will pick first. If we can win 6 games or a draw plus winning 1 more battle, and our wins are greater than the opponents, then the 10 opponents for the next round will be chosen by us human sword masters. So the first round of the competition is very important. I hope everyone will take it seriously. No matter who is picked by the other party, we must fight with all our strength and not give us human cultivators a bad name. Xiao Junyao had a smile on his face, but his voice was a bit oppressive. Finally, I would like to add that the sword master who wins the battle can increase the color of their jade tablet, so whether you can successfully advance into the top 100 or not, this is also a good opportunity to win. After his words fell, the sword masters below immediately began to discuss. This is a good opportunity, but unfortunately, I need my life to take it. A sword master who wasn't very confident in himself sighed. Yeah. The dozens of demon cultivators opposite are all tier 7. Demonic beasts are stronger than humans in terms of physical strength to begin with. It's hard to say whether we'll win or lose. If you lose, you'll lose your life too. There were many who agreed. There were also sword masters who were confident in themselves and said in disagreement, how can you raise the morale of others and destroy our prestige? What's so fearful of a few uncivilized demonic beasts? That's right, whoever is selected for battle better not pretend to be weak. This is not only related to the results of the decisive war, but also the face of our human sword masters. Such voices filled the entire city wall one after another. Xiao Junyao smiled lightly and said nothing. The time has come. Now, our 10 demon cultivators can go and choose their opponents. You human sword masters have no objections, yes? The cyan-bearded elderly man looked at the sky to determine the time, then looked at Xiao Junyao and said with vigor. Xiao Junyao smiled and nodded. All right, let's start now. The cyan-bearded old man glanced at random, and 10 demon cultivators dashed out in a flash. They had all prepared their targets already, and they designated their challenge opponents as soon as they appeared. I want to challenge her. As soon as one of the demon cultivators appeared, he pointed at Lu Mu Yen in the crowd with a gaze blazing like torches. Lu Mu Yen looked at him indifferently. This demon cultivator was precisely that skeletal man who looked somewhat similar to Shiji. 1A saying meaning that if anything goes wrong that's terribly beyond her capabilities, there are still others who will take responsibility to handle it, since she is weaker than them. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.